And in today's day and age in college basketball, yeah, you can make it worth a little bit more. They attack the transfer portal, 2 true freshmen in the starting lineup. What Coach Schmidt talks about with this group, they're underdogs. You look at the schools they came from, St. Peter's, Holy Cross, Morgan State. Those aren't basketball powers. So to have those guys looking for something to prove with 2 true freshmen, they've really gelled throughout the year early on.
Let's also not forget Moses Flowers coming over from Hartford, and their program's a little bit of a flux right now, but he's been a very effective player for them off of the bench. So as we get set here from the Reilly Center, Fordham in their away maroons with white lettering and trimming, St. Bonaventure in their home grays with the brown letters and numbers, and both coaches, or at least coaching staffs for Fordham, both teams are representing Coaches versus Cancer for a wonderful cause. The St. Bonaventure Bonnies wearing pink socks. As we get set here from the Reilly Center momentarily for opening tip. Chad Venning will enter the center circle, and Rostik Nowitzki will enter for Fordham. So Fordham will be going right to left, St. Bonaventure going left to right. Here in the frozen tundra, that is Olean, New York. As the officials get set for our opening tip. Ball flies high, and we're underway here from the Reilly Center as Will Richardson controls the tip for Fordham up the middle, moving right to left. High screen from Nowitzki. Crossover from Richardson. Now receives a double team. Alley-oop to Nowitzki underneath the block on the left side. Throws it up. Nothing there. Offensive board, Khalid Moore. And out of bounds. And this one will go back to St. Bonaventure.
Yeah, here, right, Thomas. This crowd getting into it. Coach Ergo told us before the game, St. Bonaventure, they're so great at starting games on runs. You want to take the crowd out of it. So we'll see if Fordham can do that.
Cairo Luke brings it up for St. Bonaventure at the logo. Double team coming from Richardson and Moore. Luke in some trouble. Finds Venning now driving the right lane on Charlton, and a layup for 2. And the Bonnies strike early, 2-0.
Venning 16 points last time out versus Loyola Chicago. He's a big man, but if you look at how they run their offense, particularly in that last game, they've run it through him.
Richardson on the right elbow. Kick pass Quisenberry straight on. Feeding Nowitzki left block. Extra pass Richardson, far wing at 3. That one goes down, and Will Richardson opens Fordham's scoring account 3-2 with a minute played.
And that's not a shot he takes early in the year. Really shows his progression through the season.
Barrel handoff to Banks, probing around the top half of the perimeter. St. Bonaventure moving it around. Evans on the far left wing, played closely by Will Richardson. Down the right lane he goes, over Richardson, bounces in for 2. Barry Evans makes it 4-3. Just about a minute 15 played here in the first half.
One of those true freshmen that we talked about, he plays with such a high motor. You saw it on display with a nice cut to the basket.
You can certainly fill up the stat sheet. Richardson now driving the left lane on Venning. Loses the ball, but this one will stay with Fordham underneath the basket.
And for Will Richardson to drain that 3, so important because St. Bonaventure is a team, they want to take threes. And Fordham, we know when they get into a three-point barrage, it doesn't always work in their favor, but to hit one early, get your confidence going, could be crucial for the Rams.
Quisenberry down the right lane, he goes high off the glass, bounces off, rebounded by Evans. Bonnie's looking to push. Luke now in transition down the middle on the near side. Trying to find Venning, but played closely by Charlton. Luke loses the handle. Quisenberry dives to the floor, but Luke gets it. Finding Venning on the right elbow extended, driving on Nowitzki, spinning in the lane. Pivots, kicks out to Banks, far left corner. Pull up a 3, and that one's good for Darryl Banks. 7-3 Bonnies, 2 minutes played.
Everyone remembers the name Doug Eddard from March Madness last year, but Darryl Banks really was the hero of that team. 27 points in their opening round win, and a big shot right there.
We're going to have a foul here on the floor. Cairo Luke and Will Richardson getting tangled up. So Fordham will have this one on the near sideline in front of the St. Bonaventure bench. Mark Schmidt in his 16th year roaming that Bonnie sideline. Inbound pass to Khalid Moore at the free throw line. Jab step now driving, puts on the brakes, spinning around, throws up a wild layup, offensive rebound Moore under the basket, and he's fouled, and he'll go to the free throw line. So Khalid Moore will go to the charity stripe. 7-3 is the score. Just over 2 minutes played here in the first half.
You see Khalid Moore into the basket. Great toughness to keep the ball. You go through his season. It's been a bit of an up and down with inconsistencies. You go back the first 4 games, A10 play, Thomas. 7.5 points per game on 26% from the field. The last 2, though, it seems like he's flipped a switch up to 15 and 9.5 rebounds. You saw the rebounding underneath the basket there. So for him to turn around can be huge for the Rams as he did hit the first free throw.
Second free throw goes down for Khalid Moore. 7-5 Bonnies. 2 minutes and 20 seconds played exactly here in the first half. Farrell at the top of the block F. Luke far side wing. High screen from Venning. Now a double team comes, switched by Nowitzki. Farrell a left wing three. That's good! Jan Farrell with a three ball. 10-5 Bonnies.
We know they want to take the three, Tom. That's exactly what we've seen early in this one.
Quisenberry left side wing. Kick pass Khalid Moore at the top of the circle. Picks up his dribble, finds Nowitzki at the top again. Fordham opening up a motion. Quisenberry sees a double team. Richardson extra pass, far corner. Charlton, piece by Evans. Rebound by Luck, and here come the Bonnies in transition. Farrell on the right wing. Fake handoff to Banks, finds Venning now at the top. Played by Nowitzki, now it's Evans on the left wing. Switched onto by Nowitzki. Bonaventure trying to exploit the mismatch. Farrell at the left elbow extended, throws this one out of bounds. This one will go back to Fordham.
Fordham will certainly take that one. Game being played a bit too fast for their liking, so to slow it down here, I think it's going to be important for Fordham to come out from those 2 threes and respond.
Anwar Malauk will check in for St. Bonaventure. Venning will sit down, so the Bonnies will go a little smaller here. Will Richardson directing traffic for Fordham. Just over 3 minutes played here in the first half. 10-5 St. Bonaventure. Richardson picks up his dribble, finds Khalid Moore at the top of the circle. Alley-oop pass underneath for Nowitzki. He's fouled on the way up, so 2 free throws now coming for the Rams. Fordham is the best free throw shooting team in terms of percentage in the Atlantic 10, so sending them to the free throw line if you're St. Bonaventure, Ryan, is not ideal.
And it's a good play design by Fordham. You want Ross Nowitzki in the paint one-on-one. He has the size advantage there, and if you don't stop him from scoring the basketball, likely what you have to do is foul.
Nowitzki, the senior center, first free throw is off back iron. And Nowitzki's really come on in these few games that he started. You look at beyond his numbers in the box score, Ryan, he's really made an impact by doing the little things.
And he has all the tools in the toolbox, and we've seen throughout this year, these last 2 games starting for him have been nice to see him getting that recognition.
Nowitzki comes up empty. St. Bonaventure now rolling. Luke on the near sideline. Finding Banks now at the near side wing. Farrell at the block Bonnie's logo. Now Luke, the top of the circle. Luke driving the left lane. Up and under move, and he's fouled. And 2 free throws coming for Cairo Luke, the transfer from Holy Cross.
His quickness early in this game jumps out, and you see he's a bit undersized, right? 5'11", 165, but his ability to get to the basket, really impressive. We saw it right there, nice finger roll, he just couldn't get it to fall.
So Cairo Luke, a 72% free throw shooter coming into today. The first free throw was good. Kyle Rose checks in for Fordham, as well as Abdu Simbila will come in for the Rams. 11-5, just approaching 4 minutes played here in the first half. Luke will go to the line for one more. Luke's second free throw was good. So a nice early lead here for St. Bonaventure, 12-5, with 16-18 to go in the first half. Kyle Rose running point for the Fordham Rams, finding Charlton, the center of the logo. High screen from Simbila. Reverse pass to Simbila now. Hand off to Quisenberry at the top of the circle. Sidestep. The 3 ball for Quisenberry, too strong. Offensive board Moore, and lays it in for 2.
Right place, right time, right there. Thomas Fordham with 16 offensive rebounds last game, their highest this season. Early on in this one, it's been a factor.
Luke brings it up at half court. Kyle Rose driving his chest into Luke's shoulder. 12-7 is the score, 15:45. Farrell, a left side 3, in and out, rebounded by Quisenberry, and here comes Fordham looking to push. Abdu Simbila turns around, nearly lost it. Charlton somehow gets it to Rose in the far corner. Reverse pass to Charlton at the top of the circle. Pulls up at the free throw line. Automatic for Antrell Charlton, 12-9, St. Bonaventure.
If you've watched Antrell Charlton play basketball this year, you know it's almost that's his shot. He loves the pull-up jumper.
Luke throws a forearm into Rose's chest. Comes across half court, 15-15 to go in the first half. Maluk at the top of the circle, loses the handle, and here comes Charlton. 2-on-1 fast break. Hop step layup, nothing there. Simbila throws it out of bounds. This one is going to go to St. Bonaventure as we head to our first media timeout. 12-9, Bonnie's up on the Rams. 15:03 to go here in the first half. You're listening to Fordham men's basketball on WFUV Sports.
What's up, everyone? I'm Julia Moss, one of the hosts of WFUV's women's sports podcast, All In. Join us each week as we break down everything from the WNBA, women's collegiate sports, the NWSL, and so much more. We're also joined by recurring hosts including Maddie Bamonte, Taylor Mascetta, Sam Bohr, and Annabelle Watson. All In is a production of WFUV Sports.
Welcome back to the Reilly Center, our coverage of Fordham men's basketball on WFUV Sports. Ryan Gregware, this is Thomas Aiello, and Ryan, 12-9 is the score. The Bonnies are up, and it's been a nice back-and-forth affair. We talked about how St. Bonaventure can get off to incredibly dominant starts, but so far, so good for Fordham.
This is offensively one of the best first 5-minute stretches we've seen of Fordham basketball. The problem is you look at the scoreboard, they're still down in this one, so that certainly has to change. I think defensively, you've seen them drill a few threes, St. Bonaventure that is. Fordham probably could close out better defensively beyond the arc, but overall I think you take that first 5 minutes, 9 points, you're still in this game, you haven't let the crowd get too into this game. I think that's a win for the Rams.
So all 5 of the starters for St. Bonaventure have scored. Meanwhile, for Fordham, 3 of their 5 starters have scored. Fordham's bench is yet to make an impact with Kyle Rose and Abdu Simbila, pardon me. They only just entered the game recently as we come out of our first media timeout. As Ryan alluded to, it is very loud here in the Reilly Center. The student section is kind of all over the place. You got one on one baseline, you've got one on the far sideline. It's a pretty impressive turnout for the students here.
Yeah, shout out to Olean, because not to disrespect them at all, but I'm not sure how much else there is to do around here.
Well, the Bills are about an hour away.
And, that's kind of a sour taste right now with what we just saw last weekend. You see some of these fans are just on the court side with the Bills jacket on, but they showed up for St. Bonaventure. This is a basketball town. They really care about the Bonnies. You see that support, and it's a reason they've been able to be so successful.
Charlton inbounds, Quisenberry far side wing, played by Darryl Banks, the St. Peter's hero from last March. High screen from Simbila at the top. Quisenberry changes direction, now met by a double team. Bounce pass Khalid Moore at the top of the circle. Now Kyle Rose left side wing. Finds Simbila. 4 on the shot clock. Fordham's got to get one up. Charlton realizes it, throws something up. Off front rim. Khalid Moore, offensive board. Simbila collects it. Far corner, Rose, a 3. In and out. Ball tipped around, and we're going to have a foul here against Fordham over the back. This one will go back to the Bonnies.
Fordham playing as hard as they can, and they get that second chance. Not sure what other shot you'd prefer than a corner catch-and-shoot 3 from Kyle Rose. That's his bread and butter. He just wasn't able to get it to fall.
So Pat Kelly checks in for the Rams. Khalid Moore's going to sit down. St. Bonaventure inbounds. As Brett Rumpel has checked back in. Their backup point guard provides solid minutes. Full court play by Kyle Rose, and a reach-in foul here against Rose.
Rose is known for that tight man D, and he's probably the best on-ball defender for Fordham, but you see right there, just a little too careless with his hands and picks up an early foul.
12-9 is still the score, 14:30 to go in the first half. Banks inbounds to Rumble. Trying to work something at the Bonnies logo. High screen from Farrell. Switched onto by Kelly at the top of the circle. Simbila now switching on. Flowers, who's just checked in. Farrell at the free throw line. Skip pass far corner for Flowers. Jab step for a 3 ball. Offside rim. And a foul here against St. Bonaventure. This one's on Moses Flowers.
You see right there, Darryl Banks takes that 3 attempt, but Kyle Rose, good contest that we didn't see earlier in this game when he did drill that 3. That's what Kyle Rose brings you on the floor, Thomas. Even when he's not scoring, you see how he can impact the game in ways like he did right there.
12-9 is still the score, approaching 14 minutes to go here in the first half. Quisenberry, high screen from Simbila. Driving down the right lane underneath the basket. Twisting and turning, now throws it back out to Charlton far wing. Charlton trying to back down Rumpel. Now Rose hands off Quisenberry, left wing 3. Well short, offensive rebound, Kelly. Poked out of his hands, but this one will stay with Fordham.
Bit of pinball there. Pat Kelly put himself in a good spot to get that rebound, got poked away a bit, but Fordham early in this game really aggressive, crashing the offensive glass and keeping possessions alive.
Charlton will inbound underneath the far side basket. Lobs it into Simbila, right wing. Trying to find someone to come around. It's Charlton on the right wing. Kelly skip past Rose, left wing. High screen from Kelly coming. Kick Quisenberry, far corner. Back to Rose. Swing past Charlton, right wing. Shot clock at 9. Charlton skipping around. Finding Kelly. 5 to shoot. One-legged 3 is an air ball.
Now, Thomas, you heard the classic fans chant 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When there was still 8 seconds on the shot clock, you saw Pat Kelly taking an ill-advised 3 right there with 4 seconds remaining. So you have to factor in the crowd making noise early in this one.
12-9 still the score, 13:25 to go in the first half. Rumpel on the right side wing, played closely by Charlton and Rose. Bending a free throw line jumper, in and out, ball tipped around, rebound Patrick Kelly. Fordham now looking to push. Swing pass, Quisenberry far sideline, pulls up from the right wing for 3, in and out, ball's tipped around again. Bodies flying around, and Darryl Banks comes up with the rebound. 13 minutes to go, still 12-9. Banks at the top of the circle, kick pass Rumpel on the left side. Played by Quisenberry, aggressive on-ball D here by Fordham, and we're going to have a foul here against Quisenberry with the hip check.
Another one of those fouls, Thomas, that seems just a bit unnecessary, especially a St. Bonaventure team. You don't love sending to the free throw line, and that's now 2 opportunities in the last 2 possessions where Fordham's giving them 3 fouls.
Both teams with 4 team fouls. 12-9 still the score. Rumpel played closely by Rose. Crossover move, swing pass on the far side for Benning for a jumper from the left elbow. No. Rose with the rebound. Quisenberry galloping up the middle. Kick pass near sideline Rose. A little miscommunication, intercepted. Moses Flowers in transition. 3-on-1, Flowers steps through, short off the rim, and Pat Kelly another rebound. Far sideline, Charlton. High screen coming from Kelly. Charlton crossing over at the free throw line. Rumpel takes a tumble, but nothing there. Quisenberry now driving on the left side. And a little eagle screen against Abdu Simbila.
Now, he praised Fordham so much offensively, but now you look at the box score, just 3 for 14, another turnover there with a foul. So they're playing a bit too careless with the basketball, Thomas. You saw the turnover. They had good defense in transition, but you want to limit those opportunities, particularly for a St. Bonaventure team. When they turn you over, they will push it up the court. So Fordham has to be very careful to limit those.
12-9 is still the score. 12 minutes to go here in the first half. Rumpel stops at the right elbow. Picked off Khalid Moore with the sleight of hand. Fordham now looking to push. Moore running up the floor. Handoff Quisenberry far wing with a pump fake. Nearly an up and down. Kick pass Richardson left side wing. Trying to feed Nowitzki. Step back for 3. Will Richardson ties the game at 12.
And that jumper from 3 gets more and more impressive with every shot he takes.
11:40 to go in the first half. Rumpel played closely by Rose. High screen coming from Anquan Hill, who's just checked in. The transfer from FDU. And a turnover. This will stay with St. Bonaventure, but Kyle Rose with some aggressive man-to-man D. 12-all is the score. 11:32 to go here in the first half. Let's send it to the Rose Hill Studios for a one-on-one scoreboard with Taylor Mascetta.
One scoreboard.
The A-10 is packed with action tonight. Starting off, the St. Joseph's Hawks have landed in D.C. to take on the George Washington Colonials. Right now, the Colonials are on top 22-9. UMass Minutemen are locked in against the Richmond Spiders. UMass up 14-9. Loyola Chicago is looking to get a win streak going against Duquesne tonight. The Ramblers currently lead 18-13. Down in Virginia, a battle is underway between VCU and George Mason. VCU is ahead 14-10. And to wrap up the A-10, Dayton is squaring off against URI with the Flyers ahead 16-9. Some top 25 matchups include number 13 Xavier against number 18 UConn. Huskies are down big time with Xavier on top 39-24. Number 3 Houston is up against UCF 20-10, and we've got a dogfight between the number 4 Tennessee Volunteers and the Georgia Bulldogs. Tennessee is up 17-14. In the NBA, the Brooklyn Nets are squaring off against the Philadelphia 76ers at 7:30 p.m. And over on the ice, the New York Islanders are knotted up at 0 against the Ottawa Senators, while the New York Rangers are already behind against the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are up 1-0. With the one-on-one scoreboard, I'm Taylor Mascetta.
Welcome back to the Reilly Center. Our coverage of Fordham men's basketball here on WFUV Sports. Alongside Ryan Gregware, I'm Thomas Aiello, and Ryan. 12-all is the score. Fordham going on a little 7-0 run there to knock things back up. 11:32 to go here in the first half.
A great response, and very quietly, Fordham on the defensive end has really shut down St. Bonaventure recently. They've gone nearly 5 minutes without a point. So you talk about getting off to a good start. For Fordham, that always starts with defense. With the offense, they've done just enough in this one. You look at the shooting numbers, not great, but defensively, they're staying in there. Now it's a tie game, and most importantly, you haven't let the crowd get way too into it because we've already seen their impact, forcing shots early, some ill-advised fouls. But overall, Fordham did a very good job, particularly Will Richardson draining that three.
Well, we also talked a little bit preseason. Keith Ergo, first time head coach at this level, especially in the Atlantic 10, and even his improvement from the first game to now, he's really starting to put the puzzle together.
Well, in Fordham, they had, rotation question marks. There was so much depth, but what was there up top? That was what they really had to figure out those first non-conference games and those first few A-10 games, but it looks like they found the lineup that they're sticking with, and it's working right now.
Flowers inbounds to Luke, handoff back to Flowers. Now Anquan Hill at the top of the circle. Daryl Banks come back in for St. Bonaventure. Cairo Luke, high screen from Venning. Wide open, Hill on the far corner, a three, no. And Khalid Moore with another rebound. Top of the circle, Khalid Moore trying to take Anquan Hill, former NEC Rookie of the Year. Kick out, Quisenberry straight on three. Bounces off, rebound, Anquan Hill, and hooks Khalid Moore. Officials are going to call a foul here against Moore. That's an interesting call there.
They give transfers all over the floor, and just think back a year ago, a Georgia Tech kid versus an NEC kid going up against each other in the A-10 and battling back and forth.
So St. Bonaventure will retain possession. 12-all is the score, 11:06 in the first half to go. Luke inbounds. Kyle Rose now playing him full court. Luke throws Rose off him with a heavy shoulder. Now a double team coming near side wing. Banks around a screen for a free throw line. Jay, nothing there. Farrell the rebound under the basket. Finding Banks in the far corner, and St. Bonaventure with a fresh 20. And Banks falls down. He's called for steps.
And really tight defense, man-to-man there. Fordham, they want to force St. Bonaventure into the half court. They feel their defense has an advantage in that area, and when they've done so, we've seen good results recently.
Antrell Charlton checks in. Elijah Gray also going to get some burn here for Fordham as Khalid Moore will sit down. Still 12-all, 10:48 to go. Will Richardson walking this one up. Freshman against sophomore. High screen from Nowitzki at the top. Richardson probes to the left side. Now a screen from Nowitzki again. Richardson speeding down the right lane. Throws up a wild floater. Ball's loose. Gray fighting for it with Venning. Jump ball here. Fordham will keep this one.
When you're a guy like Elijah Gray fighting for your spot in rotation, what you need to do is earn it, hustle, points right there. Now Fordham doesn't retain the basketball there, but now they do have the jump ball arrow in their possession.
Wrong way, my mistake. 10:25 to go. 12-all is the score. Luke on the far side. Picks up his dribble, played by Richardson. Now Farrell at the left wing, played by Quisenberry. Flowers at the top of the circle. Gets Nowitzki moving, and nails a three. Moses Flowers breaks the scoring drought. 15-12 Bonnies, 10 minutes to go.
Anytime you have a guy coming off the bench who started 60-plus college basketball games, can shoot 38% from three, incredibly valuable asset like Moses Flowers is.
Lollipop pass Nowitzki, far side wing. Handoff for Quisenberry. Elijah Gray with a pump fake at the top of the circle. Trying to make something happen on Farrell. Driving down on the left elbow, met by a double team. Kick out, Richardson. Sidestep three ball in front of Banks, and this one's tipped out. This one will stay with Fordham, rather.
Yeah, an ugly possession right there. Nothing going offensively. Will Richardson forcing that three off his back foot right there with contest. Certainly not the shot you want if you're the Rams.
So here's one for you. 1 second on the shot clock off the inbound for Fordham. Richardson will take this one under the far basket. Trying to find something open. Charlton lets it go far corner, and a shot clock violation on the air ball.
Now, if you take away those two Will Richardson threes, which you can't do because they went in, Fordham really has struggled getting shot attempts up, creating their own shot. We've seen this St. Bonaventure defense that's ranked top 60 across the nation really show up.
15-12 is the score, 9:30 to go in the first half. Barrel far pass for Luke on the left side wing. Quisenberry with the interception on the entry feed. Here comes Fordham now. Quisenberry pushing the far side wing, driving that right baseline area. Kick pass Elijah Gray. A swing to Will Richardson at the top of the circle. Charlton feeding Nowitzki on the left block. Double team coming. Nowitzki gets through it. Elijah Gray, a right wing three. Yes! Elijah Gray ties it up at 15 with 9 minutes to go.
It's a big response right there, too, because St. Bonaventure pretty much were just swarming Rossi Nowitzki or whoever had the ball into the paint or forcing Fordham's perimeter players to beat them, and Elijah Gray did it right there.
Fending on the top of the perimeter. Luck now on the left wing, played by Nowitzki. Finding Farrell, entry pass denied. Loose ball, picked up by Will Richardson. Here comes Fordham, a 3-on-2 transition, but Richardson slows it down. 8:39 to go in the first half, still 15 all. Quisenberry calls for a high screen from Nowitzki on the left wing. Double team coming, now Quisenberry makes his move down the left lane, he's fouled. So Darius Quisenberry drawing some contact. The officials are going to keep this one on the ground, so an inbound underneath the far side basket.
And you see the frustration from Coach Ergo signaling to Quisenberry, go up with that ball because he's such a great free throw shooter, still scoreless in this one. So you want to get him going. That's a great way to do so, but unfortunately, Fordham won't get the chance to.
Charlton will inbound this one on the far side basket. Kyle Rose has come in for Fordham. Charlton probing, looking. And foul here against St. Bonaventure, even before the ball was inbounded. So this one will stay underneath the basket on the other side. So some ticky-tack play going on here in Olean, New York. Darrell Banks comes in for Moses Flowers. But Charlton will inbound again. 8:29 left here in the first half. 15 all is the score. Richardson far corner, played by Luke. High screen from Nowitzki. Kick past Charlton, far right wing, trying to work on Evans. Nowitzki nearly loses it. Here comes the double team again. Ripped away by Barry Evans. Bonaventure trying to turn themselves loose. Far side is Evans. 8:13 to go in the first half. 15 is the score. Luke played closely by Charlton. High screen from Venning coming. Kick pass. Farrell, far corner three. Off back iron. No one there. Darrell Banks tracks the rebound down for Luke 3. 18-15, Bonnie's up. 7:50 to go.
Will Richardson wisely slowing this one down after a rough few possessions.
Far corner Rose. No one there for a three, and it goes down for Kyle Rose. Back and forth we go. 18-18 with 7:35 to go in the first half. Kyle Rose picks Luke free, dives on the floor, but this one will stay with St. Bonaventure, but the Fordham bench fired up. As we head to our next media timeout, 18 all is the score. 7:31 to go here in the first half. You're listening to Fordham men's basketball on WFUV Sports.
Hey everyone, I'm Chris Persianen.
And I'm Will Grant.
And we're two of the hosts for WFUV's very own basketball podcast, Pick and Pod.
Tune in weekly for updates on our takes of the latest around the NBA and exclusive insight from our very own Knicks and Nets beat reporters.
We'll have you covered on everything from all of the NBA's latest drama we know and love
to debating all year long which team will get to lift that golden Larry O'Brien in June.
Don't miss a beat from the hardwood on WFUV's Pick and Pod.
Welcome back to our coverage of Fordham men's basketball here on WFUV Sports. We're in Olean, New York, at St. Bonaventure Bonnie's taking on the Fordham Rams alongside Ryan Gregware. I'm Thomas Aiello. Ryan, back and forth. It's like a heavyweight boxing fight. 18-18 is the score. 7:31 to go, and Fordham starting to find a little bit of offense here.
Yeah, how about three after three? Something very uncharacteristic for Fordham basketball throughout the year. Not sure it's something you want to keep up, but nonetheless, Kyle Rose got a good look in the corner in response to a three from St. Bonaventure. He let it fly, ties this game up. It's been a great back-and-forth battle, Thomas, early on.
Meanwhile, for St. Bonaventure, they're getting some contributions here and there. Kyrell Luck leads the Bonnies with 5 points, while some of the bench is starting to get involved. Moses Flowers nailed the three, so that's where we are in our game right now. But you can really see from Mark Schmidt's team in particular, Ryan, is how hard they work on the defensive end. See double teams coming into the post, then there's single coverage, some shades of a stunt, a little bit of a help. They're really throwing everything they've got at Fordham defensively.
They have a ton of movement too, and they've been willing to let Fordham take threes. We've been very fortunate Fordham has that Elijah Gray's knocked one down. Kyle Rose just drilled one that's allowed them to stay in this game. But the game plan for them is clear. You don't let Fordham beat you inside, and you take your battles with the outside perimeter shots. So far, Fordham's made them pay just a bit. We'll see how it progresses from that area.
So as we come out of our media timeout, Abdu Simbila has come in for Fordham. St. Bonaventure will inbound this one on the near sideline. Banks inbounds to Luke. Play resumes. Luke crosses the half-court mark, played closely by Kyle Rose on the far side. Crossing over, now switched on to by Charlton. Luke trying to make something happen. A lot of dribbling here from the point guard. Far pass for Evans on the right baseline. Dump off for Farrell. Rejected, and a foul. Late whistle there. Looked pretty close to me, but Jan Farrell will go to the free throw line for two.
It's a tough call to go against Fordham. You see Coach Ergo in a bit of disbelief right there. Hands on his head. He's now explaining to the ref while they mess up that call. Good interior defense. You figured from Fordham, but nonetheless, St. Bonaventure, they'll get 2 free throw attempts.
Farrell's first free throw is good, so St. Bonaventure retakes the lead. 19-18 is the score. 7:11 to go here in the first half. Will Richardson sits down. As Kyle Rose, Roma Dean comes in with Darius Quisenberry for Fordham.
And looking at this lineup right now, this has to be Darius Quisenberry shooting the basketball because this is a lot more defensive-minded length lineup, and then you have Darius Quisenberry in there as well, the best pure scorer on the team and in this game right now. So you figure he's going to get some shot attempts coming up.
Quisenberry crosses half court, played closely by Banks. Now Elijah Gray left elbow area, trying to work on Yan Farrell, finding Simbila on the left block. Double team coming on the big man, and he's going to get called for steps as he panicked.
A big question in this one is going to be how Fordham's big men, particularly Abdu Simbila, Rosik Nowitzki, respond to the double. We've seen some frantic passes early in this one. That one to travel, they need to get more accustomed to it because it's what St. Bonaventure's bringing every possession.
Luke brings it up, played by Roma Dean. 20-18 is the score, 6:45 to go. Bonnie's up. Luke on the near side wing, played by Simbila. Hand off to Moses Flowers. Now probes the top half of the perimeter. Rather, Banks driving inside with the left hand for two, and it's a 4-point lead for St. Bonaventure. 6:27 to go, 22-18. Quisenberry at the top of the blow-go. High screen from Simbila, far side wing. Elijah Gray at the top of the circle. Hand off Charlton. Kick past Simbila, nearly loses the handle, but finds Quisenberry with 10 on the shot clock. Quisenberry, long three from the far wing, well short, rebounded by Venning, and here comes St. Bonaventure. 4-point lead, Evans charging down the middle, Quisenberry with the interception. Full speed ahead goes Quisenberry to the basket, lays it up and in. And Darius Quisenberry slashes the lead down to 2.
And that one almost got blocked in from Darrell Banks. It looked like he made contact with the ball, but nonetheless, it's 2 points for Fordham and Darius Quisenberry.
22-20, Bonnies are still up, 5:40 to go. Charlton playing Luke here, driving the right lane, getting inside, tries to throw it down, and Elijah Gray with the rejection. 5 on 4, here comes Fordham. Numbers for a moment. Quisenberry at the free throw line. Gray, far wing, 3. Off back iron, rebounded by Venning.
Quisenberry appeared looking to take that shot, but Elijah Gray was too open to turn down the look. Unfortunately, he couldn't capitalize.
Banks at the top. Pulls back on Simbila. Shake and bake at the free throw line. Oh, what a move by Darrell Banks. Pulls it back, and it's back to a 4-point lead with 5 minutes to play for St. Bonaventure. Charlton walks this one up. High screen from Simbila. Quisenberry with a screen. Charlton driving the left lane. Turnaround hook. Bounces around and off. Tipped off of Simbila, and this one will go back to St. Bonaventure.
Fordham's pleading that one tipped off a St. Bonaventure defender, but we're not able to get the call right now. St. Bonaventure will get the ball back. That does stop the clock, and it stops the ball. And something I've noticed every time that Fordham's missed a shot, Tom, is St. Bonaventure's looking to push. It doesn't matter who gets the rebound. They're trying to go up the court. They know Fordham's strength in the half-court defense, not the same in transition. So the ball did stop here. They'll get that half-court defense, but that's something to look out for as this game goes on.
4:38 to go here in the first half. Farrell far side wing, working on Charlton. Malukas shoots checked in. Now Darrell Banks played by Roma Dean. 24-20, Bonnie's up. Banks crossing over, down the middle he goes! Daryl Banks with a sweet move, and it's a 6-point lead now for St. Bonaventure.
Really crisp crossover right there. Blew by the defender and was able to get to the basket.
Quisenberry at the logo. High screen Nowitzki right wing. Quisenberry hands off to Charlton at the top. Lob pass to Nowitzki under the basket, and he's going to be fouled underneath the basket. So this one should be going to the free throw line. That's the St. Bonaventure. Yep, they are in the 1-and-1 penalty. So now Nowitzki will go to the free throw line. Kyle Rose checks in for Roma Dean, who will sit down. Nowitzki gets set for his first free throw. 4:04 to go in the first half. Nowitzki's first free throw is good. 26-21 lead for St. Bonaventure.
Big for Fordham to get back on the board right here. And Rossi Nowitzki at the free throw line. We bring in the double. They did it right there. He got fouled. Now he needs to make them capitalize and think twice about doing just that.
Nowitzki gets set for his second free throw. 4:04 to go, as I said, in the first half. Now Nowitzki avenges his earlier trip when he came up empty. 26-22 for St. Bonaventure, 4 minutes to go. Luke gets up full court, puts Rose on his back, and now draws the foul against Kyle Rose. Excellent tactics from Cairo. Luke draws another foul against Fordham, so they'll be going for the 1-and-1 penalty as we go to our next media timeout. 26-22, St. Bonnies are up. 3:57 to go. Let's send it to the Rosehill Studios for a 1-on-1 scoreboard with Taylor Mascetta.
The 1-on-1 scoreboard.
There's a lot happening right now in the A-10. Starting off, the George Washington Colonials are defending their home court against the St. Joseph's Hawks, comfortably leading 30-21. The UMass Minutemen are locked in against the Richmond Spiders. Spiders on top, 28-23. Loyola Chicago and Duquesne are locked in right now. Ramblers leading 28-23. And a battle is brewing down in Virginia with VCU leading George Mason 28-17. And to wrap up all of this A-10 action, Dayton is starting to fly away from URI. They're ahead 22-14. Some top 25 matchups include number 13 Xavier and number 18 UConn. And the Huskies have fallen back big time with the Musketeers on top 42-26. It's close between number 3 Houston and UCF. Cougars are still on top 31-25. And we've got a dogfight brewing between the number 4 Tennessee Volunteers and the Georgia Bulldogs. Tennessee is up 28-18. In the NBA, the Brooklyn Nets are going to be squaring off against the 76ers at 7:30. And over on the ice, the New York Islanders are knotted up at 0 against the Ottawa Senators, with the New York Rangers already behind the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are up 1-0. With the 1-on-1 scoreboard, I'm Taylor Mascetta.
Welcome back to the Reilly Center here up in Olean, New York. Fordham and St. Bonaventure here on 90.7 FM. Alongside Ryan Gregware, I'm Thomas Aiello. Ryan, 26-22 is the score. The Bonnies are up. Daryl Banks going on a one-man army type of run. He's got 9 points.
And that's no surprise. Going into this game, he was leading the country in minutes played. So he's somebody they're going to put on the floor at all times. They trust him offensively and defensively. And offensively, he's shown up in this one.
Meanwhile, for Fordham, a little bit of a stalemate, 1 for their last 4. The Rossi Nowitzki free throws cut this lead down to 4. And Fordham is well within striking distance, Ryan.
And they're fortunate to be so when you look at the shooting. St. Bonaventure shooting 50% from the field, Fordham just 28. So they haven't been able to get it going offensively in that sense, but they're winning the turnover battle, which is a nice sight to see. They've hit some threes, and they've made it happen at the free throw line with 4 points there. So that's how they can stay in this game. They just need to get better defending that St. Bonaventure attack, particularly Daryl Banks.
So Cairo Luke hits his first free throw, 27-22. Second free throw goes up and rolls off. Rebound Nowitzki. 3:56 to go here in the first half. Fordham is down by 5. Richardson walks this up against Luke. Handoff Quisenberry. And a foul here against Will Richardson. He gets called for an illegal screen. And Keith Ergo does not like the call.
Both teams in the bonus. We've seen the refs have not been shy to blow the whistle there, but those are just ticky-tacky fouls that Fordham has to find ways to prevent. You cannot keep giving St. Bonaventure free possessions with the basketball.
Luke brings it up now against Richardson. Evans at the left elbow, played by Charlton. Now Venning working in the post. Played by Charlton, spinning around and rolls off. Evans went in for a tip, and then he's fouled on the way up, so 2 free throws should be coming for Barry Evans.
Both these two teams coming off their season highs in offensive rebounds in a game. We've seen that on display with their Evans put in a good position right there and just tipped it up with one hand and got the foul.
So Barry Evans, the freshman from Baltimore, Maryland. Last game against Loyola Chicago, 7 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals. So we talked about he can fill it up as the first free throw is off back iron.
And going into this game, just 6 for 17 from the free throw line, so he struggled, and we saw it right there with a miss.
So Zach Reilly comes in for Will Richardson. We haven't seen Reilly in a couple of games. He had a little ankle issue against Dayton, but now making his first appearance since then.
I really like this move with under 4 minutes in the half. He provides so much energy. So if you need a spark, Zach Reilly's your guy, and we'll see with 4 minutes right here what he can create offensively.
27-22 still the score. St. Bonaventure up, 3:26 to go. Handoff Reilly at the top of the logo. Charlton, Kelly at the top of the circle. Extra pass, Reilly far side corner. Kick pass Kelly, driving the left side. Quisenberry, 10 to shoot on the shot clock. High screen from Nowitzki, 5 now to shoot. Quisenberry makes his move. Fade away from the elbow is short. Ball's tipped around. Farrell and Reilly going at it, and this one will go back to St. Bonaventure.
Collision right there between Pat Kelly and Zach Reilly. Both were going for that offensive rebound. You saw the bodies collide right there. Ball off one of their fingertips. So now St. Bonaventure will get the basketball back.
3 minutes to go here in the first half. Luke walks it up. 27-22 is the score. Luke played by Reilly. Reilly reaches in, but nothing there. High screen from Evans. Luke on the left side wing. Driving down that lane. Now met by a double team. Finds Evans at the right elbow extended. Ball's tipped, but Venning somehow comes up with it. 8 on the shot clock. Venning working on Charlton. Charlton tries to strip him 3. 4 to shoot. Banks weaving through. Venning inside. Tries to throw it down. No shot clock violation. Play continues. 2.5 to go. Reilly trying to get up the floor. Spinning off of Banks. Reilly down the middle he goes. Kick pass Quisenberry at the top. Pat Kelly a far corner 3. Yes! Patrick Kelly makes it 27-25. 2:10 to go, and Fordham keeping this one close.
Darius Quisenberry, the floor general on that one, driving into the paint, dishing it outside to Pat Kelly, making the defense pay.
2-minute drill now approaching. 2-point lead for St. Bonaventure. Evans down the middle, working on Charlton. Pulls up from 8. Rebounded by Kelly, and here comes Fordham. Charlton handling the ball. Evans pokes it for a moment, but Charlton hangs on. Quisenberry left side wing. Driving down the middle. There he goes through contact, and he's fouled on the way up. 2 free throws coming for Darius Quisenberry, looking like an NFL running back, taking all that contact.
And let's hope right now that he is a free throw shooter with how well he's been this year, 86%. It's the first time we've seen that play where he gets the call. It's something he's so good at, the body control of getting the contact to go his way. So now as this half winds down, it's good to see him get it going.
So Quisenberry will go to the free throw line. His chance to put some points on the board. 1 of 6 today so far. First free throw is good. The 1-point lead for St. Bonaventure. As Max Amadusin checks in, the young man from Ireland, transferred in from Pitt. Knows Fordham assistant coach Ronald Ramon pretty well. Second free throw goes up for Quisenberry. It's off the front of the rim. So St. Bonaventure holds on to a 1-point cushion with 1:40 to go. Banks far sideline. Played by Quisenberry. Bounce pass Evans, left side wing. Driving inside on Charlton. Throws up a floater well short. Amadusin in the middle of the paint trying to spin off Nowitzki. Almost a 3-second call. 1:20 to go. Back out to Banks. High screen from Amadusin. Straight on 3 from Banks. Got it! Darryl Banks, no fear. 30-26, St. Bonaventure.
St. Bonaventure loves the top of the key screens right there to set up their guards, and Darryl Banks drilling that one at the top of the key.
63 seconds to go in the first half. Fordham down 4. Lob past Nowitzki at the top of the key. Driving on Amadusin. Here comes a double team. Bounce past Kelly under the basket. Stripped away by Evans. 50 seconds to go. Evans back to Farrell. Lets it go. Off the back of the iron. Ball tipped around. Who's got it? Antrell Charlton does. 42 seconds to go. Fordham still down 4. And the timeout called by Keith Ergo wants to calm his group down. Getting a little erratic out there. And Ryan, 4-point lead for St. Bonaventure. It was 1 at one point, but Darryl Banks kicking Fordham's bottom like he has been all evening so far. 12 points now.
He's been really strong in this one. One of the keys in this game was force him into taking bad shots. You look, they just lost to Loyola Chicago, the team that was winless in the A-10, and he had probably his worst game of the year, 3 for 11 with 7 points. He's already far past that in this one. He looks really comfortable and confident with the ball in his hand.
Meanwhile, for Fordham, we always talk about Darius Quisenberry, natural scorer, and he has the big point totals, but it's lately been a team effort. It's taking a lot of guys to really put points up on the board, and Fordham is fortunate enough, especially like you said, with this crowd here in the Reilly Center, to be down 4 with 38.1 seconds to go, and you've got the ball out of this timeout.
Yeah, and we'll see what they come up with. And looking at the box score right now, 8 Rams with points in this one, so it's definitely been more of a team effort than we've seen. Not the one-man show. Will Richardson's drilled 2 threes. He's leading the scoring with 6 points. You come out of this timeout, potentially go 2 for 1 here. If not, just make sure get your best possible shot attempt and head to half feeling good about yourself.
So Zach Reilly will inbound on the far sideline. 38.1 on the game clock till the half break. 30-26 St. Bonaventure. Charlton takes the inbound. High screen from Nowitzki. Charlton uses it. Down the left side he goes. Bounce pass Quisenberry left wing, played by Banks. High screen from Kelly, elects not to use it. Nowitzki finds Reilly. Down the right baseline he goes. Layup is good. Zach Reilly with a tough move and chops the lead down to 2. And a timeout called by Mark Schmidt with 18.9 to go.
That's what Zach Reilly gives you, that energy, that burst to get onto the basket, just flip it up. A great possession coming into that timeout for Fordham.
So for Fordham, Zach Reilly getting on the scoreboard now. The only Ram that hasn't scored that's played today is Roma Dean. So you're down 2 if you're Fordham. St. Bonaventure calling a timeout. Mark Schmidt, the king of X's and O's, one of the best in the nation. What are you looking to draw up here if you're the St. Bonaventure Bonnies? What type of look are you trying to find?
Well, the way this game's going, first off, I think you wait till the end of the game clock. You don't want to give Fordham another possession, but Daryl Banks has to have the ball in his hands. Maybe you want to generate something off the ball with an off-the-ball screen, get him in a catch-and-shoot situation. We'll see what they come up with, though, right here.
So as we get set out of our timeout, 18.9 here until the halftime break. 30 for St. Bonaventure, 28 for Fordham. Khalid Moore checks in for the Rams, who's playing with 2 fouls. 3 Rams are in 2 foul territory to St. Bonaventure's 1 with Chad Venning. Luke walks this up for St. Bonaventure. Shades of a double team from Moore and Reilly. Banks on the far side wing, a little bit of a high-end matchup zone. Reilly diving to the floor and intercepts it. 6 seconds to go. Bounce pass. Nowitzki somehow comes up with it. 2 to shoot. Reilly with a floater. Nothing there. So Fordham ends on a high note here in the first half, with Zach Reilly blowing up St. Bonaventure's inbound play. 30 for St. Bonaventure, 28 for the Fordham Rams as we head to halftime. We're going to send it to the Rose Hill Studios with Sam Davis for the one-on-one halftime report.
The one-on-one halftime report.
Welcome into the one-on-one halftime report. St. Bonaventure 30, Fordham 28 after the first 20 minutes of this one. Sam Davis here with Taylor Mascetta, Mike Calamari, our supervising producer today, but one of our broadcasters
Supervising
as well.
producer / host, a little bit of everything.
Little bit of everything. He's going to be joining us as well here for recapping what was in the first half. Fordham 31% from the field. Meanwhile, St. Bonaventure shooting 41%. Leading the way for them is Daryl Banks. Fordham, it's been a group effort. Will Richardson is the leading scorer for the Rams with 6 points, but just about everyone that's played, other than Abdou Simbila and Ramad Dean, have scored for Fordham. It's been a really group effort for them so far in the first half as they trail by 2 in Olean, New York. But before we get into all that and breaking down that first half, previewing the second half as well, we're going to hear from Taylor Mascetta with another one-on-one scoreboard.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Well, the A-10 is action-packed tonight. The George Washington Colonials are defending their home court against the St. Joseph's Hawks. They're leading 38-34. UMass Minutemen are locked in against the Richmond Spiders. Richmond is leading 37-32. Duquesne versus Loyola Chicago is underway. Ramblers are still on top, 35-31. And a battle is brewing down in Virginia with VCU leading George Mason 30-21. And URI just stormed back against Dayton. Rams are ahead 26-23. Wrapping up some A-10 action, Fordham women's basketball is on the court tonight, but they are down against the Richmond Spiders 29-24 at the half. Some top 25 matchups include number 13 Xavier and number 18 UConn. Musketeers are on top, 52-40 in this Big East matchup. It's close between number 3 Houston and UCF. Cougars are still on top, 36-30, and we've got a dogfight between the number 4 Tennessee Volunteers and the Georgia Bulldogs. Tennessee is up big, 35-22. In the NHL, both New York teams aren't exactly in the winning column just yet. New York Islanders are behind the Ottawa Senators 0-1, and the New York Rangers are also struggling against the Toronto Maple Leafs, down 1-0. With the one-on-one scoreboard, I'm Taylor Mascetta.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Taylor. Appreciate you offering those updates. It's a really busy time right now in the Atlantic 10. It's a busy time here at Fordham as well. We have the women's basketball game going on down the street at the Rose Hill Gym. Obviously, the men are in Olean, New York. I can't say I'm really envious of Ryan and Thomas out there.
Snowy up there.
Snowy weather.
Snowy.
I mean, it's not really nice out here either, but nevertheless, they're in Olean and Fordham trailing by 2, like I mentioned, 30-28. And Mike, I'm going to go to you first here. Fordham really started out the game pretty slowly offensively. They were shooting under 30% for most of that first half. It's now at 31%. Still not shooting the best, but despite that, they played really solid defense. Banks has really gone off for St. Bonaventure, but other than that, Fordham doing a pretty good job defensively, and they're able to hang around here in the first half and do what, other than that Duquesne game, they've really gotten off to slow starts in A10 play. Did not really do that here today, although offensively they might have struggled. They picked things up on the defensive side of the ball, and they're right in this game.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the stats, Fordham only losing the rebound battle by 2 rebounds, and they've limited their turnovers to 6. Both pretty good numbers for Fordham, and those are 2 of the big things when you look at this team. But on the offensive side of things, when you have Antrell Charlton and Darius Quisenberry, your 2 leading minutes leaders today, both with 19 minutes, and they're probably the 2 most important players for this team when you really think about it. Antrell Charlton, 1 for 6 from the field. Darius Quisenberry, 1 for 7. They're combining for 2 for 13. When you have your 2 most important players and your 2 most playing players, they have leading the team in minutes right now, you can't have them shoot that inefficiently, especially Darius Quisenberry, 0 for 4 from 3. He came into the year, he was the guy, he still is the guy, and still working to try and find it. That's the one thing that they're going to have to try to work on in the second half. How do we get our main scoring options going? Antrell Charlton, usually more of a facilitator, but Darius Quisenberry, can we get him going? Because that's going to really propel the whole offense to get better.
And what St. Bonaventure does so well is they shoot the 3. They're 50% from behind the arc so far in this game. They're led by Daryl Banks, who's got 12 points for them. And Taylor, Fordham overall, like I mentioned, in that first half, especially on the defensive side of things, had played with a lot of intensity. They've come out of the gates pretty hard, and they've been able to force some turnovers for St. Bonaventure and really, overall limit their scoring. But behind the arc is really where they work, and that's almost the dangerous part of this game, is that if you have a lapse or 2 on the defensive side of the ball, all of a sudden the lead can really go up to what it is right now, 2 points. It could go up to 5, 7, 10, whatever it may be. It can happen very quickly. So Fordham has that, I would say pressure defensively to limit those 3s, but in the first half they did that very well.
No, for sure. And it was really just good to see, at the very beginning of the game, Richardson striking a 3.
Yeah.
Immediately, what gave me hope was that St. Bonaventure didn't jump out to an immediate lead. I saw this with Dayton a couple weeks ago. They were up 10 points with the first 2 minutes. Fordham stayed intact. They didn't let a gap form immediately. They're staying close. We've seen this game has gone back and forth immediately. It just goes to show how important these 3-pointers are, because that's exactly what's keeping us in the game right now. I think if they can just keep making these shots, I think they're going to be able to come out on top today.
Yeah, and you mentioned the deficits. That's what's killed Fordham, this Atlantic 10 schedule. When they haven't got into those big holes, they've really fared pretty well. Dayton, one of the worst holes. Same with Davidson, as well as URI. Those are the 3 losses. And games, they've really stayed in it. You think about LaSalle. You think about this game right here against St. Bonaventure. You think about home against St. Joseph's. That's when they've really came out with wins. It's only really when the game ended early that they've lost so far in the early conference schedule. So I think it bodes well for Fordham. They're in this game right now. And the same way in Duquesne, they needed to make adjustments. They went into the halftime locker room down points. I think it's the same deficit. I think it's a 2-point deficit against Duquesne heading into the locker room. Same thing here against St. Bonaventure. Both are on the road. They'll just have to make the proper adjustments, but that's the biggest thing. They didn't go down early, and they're still in the game going into the second half.
Yeah, Mike, that's a great point, because this feels kind of a little bit similar to that Duquesne game, which is a good sign if you're Fordham. Obviously, they were able to win that one. Like you mentioned, being down 2 points at halftime, kind of a similar style in the first half as well, which I think that appeals to how Fordham plays basketball. They're really not a team that's going to, put up a ton of points and really run a team out of a jam. They don't do that very often. They're much more of a defensive battle kind of a team, and that's kind of what we saw in the first half overall. They do a great job kind of stifling the opponent and really preventing any opportunities for them to score, and especially for Fordham on the offensive side of the ball. What they do well is, and what they've been doing very well the last couple of games, is creating second chance opportunities, even third chance opportunities, getting those offensive rebounds, attacking those boards. That's been really big. Will Richardson has been honestly huge for this team right now, and at a point where Fordham, coming into this road stretch, you could say they were on the ropes. They definitely needed a win against LaSalle. They got it in obviously game-winning fashion. It seems like that game against Duquesne was a really big win. This is another huge game against St. Bonaventure on the road, a team that, beat Duquesne by over 10 points, a team that also plays very well on the road. So Fordham, this is a very important part of their schedule. And to have a guy like Will Richardson, a freshman, step up in that role and kind of, I know, leading scorer with only 6 points, as everybody's kind of been scoring, but the confidence that he has shooting has been really impressive, Taylor. It's been really, especially from a freshman, to show that kind of leadership almost, to lead this team through a difficult stretch and a road trip here in the Atlantic 10 Conference.
No, for sure. It's really awesome. See, he got his first career start against LaSalle, and he has just been on fire ever since, averaging 12.7 points per game, shooting .500 from the field. He's just on fire, and I think he's really just brightening up Fordham's offense, and they're lucky to have him on that court right now because he is just sinking threes and just helping them stay in this game.
Yeah, and you look at his recent games. I just pulled up his stats, actually. 13 versus Dayton, 19 versus LaSalle, 6 versus Duquesne. In all of those games, he's hit 2 or more threes, and he's taken, he's only had 3 threes so far in this one, but he's done a really good job. And then now today, he's done really good, 6 points on 2 threes. So 4 straight games of 2+ threes, Dayton, LaSalle, Duquesne, and now once again against St. Bonaventure. He's really coming into a rhythm. He's being aggressive, and that's what you're seeing. So to have your freshman really start to get aggressive, teams are going to start to notice that, and they'll put more attention on him. And what that's going to do for the offense is create more opportunities for the Darius Quisenberrys, the Antrell Charltons. So it's gonna really help as the season progresses. But right now, if he's going to be open, if he's going to have opportunities to score the ball, you have to be able to feed him.
The Atlantic 10 Conference has been a conference of inconsistency this year. We've seen everyone beat everybody for the most part, other than maybe, even VCU has a loss, even though they're basically leading.
Well, I'm not sure if you see on Twitter, but there's an account that does the circle of everyone who beats everyone. So if it's the Big East, it's like DePaul beat Xavier. Xavier beat...
Has that happened in the A-10 yet?
It has happened. It's 17 conferences have done it, and the A-10 did it because Loyola Chicago got their first win against St. Bonaventure.
Got it.
And somehow you spin it where I think Bonaventure beat Duquesne, Duquesne beat VCU, and so on.
So basically, by that logic, Fordham's the top in the A-10, but obviously that is not quite the case.
Well, also by the logic, Fordham beat Wagner beat Temple, and Temple beat Houston. So technically, Fordham's the number 1 team in the country.
We are the number 1 team.
I guess that's how it goes. But the Atlantic 10, with how inconsistent it's been, anybody can beat anybody on any game, and that's why you kind of really have to have your guard up. You have to, especially on the road, heading to a place where, St. Bonaventure is very confident. They have a good crowd there for every single game that they play at home. And you look at if you're looking at just based on paper, you see, okay, St. Bonaventure just lost to Loyola Chicago, gave them their first win in the A-10. How good can they be? But they've also beaten Duquesne, they've beaten Richmond. They've had a couple of pretty big wins for them on the year as well. So they're definitely a very solid team, and an important win this would be for Fordham if they can pull things out in the second half. But Mike, I want to get your thoughts on, what does Fordham have to do in the second half to take the lead, although it's just a 2-point deficit, and ultimately win this one?
Defensively, I never questioned Fordham that much. They play very good on the defensive side of things, and they're always going to play hard. They usually win the rebound battle. It comes down to the offense. Are they going to take care of the basketball? They've done a pretty good job today with 6 turnovers. Are they going to be able to score consistently? Darius Quisenberry, 1 for 7 from the field. Antrell Charlton, 1 for 6. I think Antrell Charlton will be fine moving forward in this game just because he does so much more offensively that really isn't scoring. Darius Quisenberry really does as well. He's one of the assist leaders on this team, but he's the main scorer. And that's why I would love to see him get into a groove. Sam, we were at that game against Duquesne. Darius Quisenberry coming alive was really the difference maker. Ends with 15 points, has the big exclamation mark 3 right after Charlton's, followed by Khalid Moore's. So really, if Darius Quisenberry can start to find his groove offensively, that would be the one thing Fordham needs. We saw that against Duquesne. Now, hopefully, we see it once again against St. Bonaventure tonight.
I think what Fordham needs to do is that they need to keep their head in the game, because that crowd there, I can hear them in my earpiece. They're
loud.
St. Bonaventure is a home team.
And it's also a small gym, so everybody's kind of packed in. And yeah, definitely.
I'd love to know St. Bonaventure home and away splits like for the past 5 years.
Yeah, well, this year, Bonnies are 9-1 at home.
Yeah.
But they're also 0-7 at away games.
Yeah.
So they definitely have that home court advantage. But hey, Fordham it's like their new mantra. They're on a roadkill, roadkill
That
streak.
is their mantra,
They have been really succeeding at these away games. So it's really fun to see these two powerhouses come together at a Bonnie's home game where they succeed at home and a red-hot Fordham team who's good at away. So I think if Fordham can just kind of tune out that background noise and just keep sinking their shots, try to stay awake on that defense, I think they're good to go.
We're going to send it back out to our broadcasters in Olean, New York for second half action between Fordham and St. Bonaventure. We'll be back after the game. Enjoy the second half, everybody.
It's 90.7 WFUV New York, listener-supported public media from Fordham, the Jesuit University of New York. On air, online, and always commercial-free.
Hey everyone, this is Darius Quisenberry, guard for your Fordham Rams. You can listen to us all season long over on 90.7 FM, WFUV Sports, and YouTube Live. WFUV Sports, the flagship station of Fordham Athletics.
Just about to start the second half here from Olean, New York at the Reilly Center. Coverage of Fordham men's basketball on 90.7 FM taking on the St. Bonaventure Bonnies alongside Ryan Gregware. I'm Thomas Aiello. Ryan, it has been one heck of a game so far. Really, really fun back and forth in the first half.
A lot of good on the Fordham side of things. I think positive things that you look at in this box score, 9 scores in this one. You're only down 2, a tough place to play on the road. You didn't let the St. Bonaventure crowd completely take over. So there's a lot of positives here, but you bring up, just down 2 points. This game's for the taking. Fordham can win this basketball game. That's what's most important here. This is going to be a crucial 20 minutes to see where Fordham stacks up.
Well, the gang mentioned it in the halftime show. We talked a little bit about it, obviously, on some other broadcasts, but the Atlantic 10 is about as inconsistent as it gets, right? It's eating itself alive. Loyola Chicago beat St. Bonaventure the other night, and Fordham goes on the road and slaps Duquesne in the face. So anyone can really do anything on any given night. We also saw the other night George Washington beat Dayton of all teams at Dayton. So there's no room for much error in this league, and if you're going on the road, it's not always safe to assume or pencil in the home team can win this game.
I'll tell you this, Thomas. One thing that we've really learned about this Fordham team, they're so confident. It doesn't matter if they're on the road at Arkansas versus home versus Widener. They're going into every game, 1, believing that it's a Super Bowl, but 2, believing they're the better team, they should win. So I think this last 20 minutes, having that mindset's really going to help them in this tough environment. You expect this fan base, this crowd to really get into it. So a huge 20 minutes of basketball ahead. We'll see what Fordham is made of.
So we get set for the second half here. 30 for St. Bonaventure, 28 for Fordham. Will Richardson leads the Rams in scoring with 6. And all of the Rams, but 2 that have played today, have scored. Those 2 not scoring being Romandine and Abdu Simbila. Meanwhile, for St. Bonaventure, Daryl Banks leads all scorers with 12 points. 5 of 7 shooting, Ryan. We talked about getting him to shoot bad shots. That has not been the case today.
He's been the man for St. Bonaventure in this one. Anytime Fordham's went on a run, he's been able to simply just create his own shot. He's been excellent off the ball, on the ball, also in the three-point land. He's 2 for 3. St. Bonaventure as a whole, they're 5 for 10. Fordham, what they need to do is not get into a three-point shootout. Don't try to match them. Both have 5 threes apiece, but something to be wary of here as we progress.
High screen from Quisenberry as Fordham opens up with the inbound on the second half. Khalid Moore near side wing sat most of that first half with foul trouble. Now played by Yan Farrell. Jab step on the right baseline. Moore trying to go to work. Double team incoming. Spinning away. Bounce past Nowitzki. Ball tipped around off people's feet. Richardson gets to a floater in the lane. Banks it off the glass. Will Richardson with 8 points. And we're tied up at 30 seconds played.
So calm Will Richardson is, just with the basketball inside, defenders all around him. He gets an inch of separation and is able to capitalize.
Evans, played by Charlton closely, throws out an elbow, keeps Charlton off him. Inside Venning, played by Nowitzki, muscles him away for 2.
We didn't see a lot of that in the first half. Venning, a guy who typically has the basketball in his hands a ton. Coach Urgo gave him so much praise before the game. Pretty quiet overall, but getting things going for the Bonnies here to start the second half.
Richardson around the world he goes and lays it in for 2. Oh, what a sweet move by Will Richardson to knot things up at 32 again.
Now we've seen him drill the 3, but I don't think we've seen the dribble moves on display like that. His offensive game has just came alive so much the last 3 games.
18:44 left here in the second half. Evans, top far side wing, played by Charlton. Evans, the southpaw, feeding Venning left block, working on Nowitzki. Gets Nowitzki in the air with a nice move for 2 again.
It's moves like that, Thomas, that show you why Venning is such a tough player to guard. He's so crafty in the post. Fordham did a good job of not letting him create post separation, but he did it right there.
Quisenberry kicks Charlton near side corner. Fordham going left to right. Feeding Nowitzki. Here comes a double team on the right block. Bounce past Charlton. Swing past Richardson. Jab steps on Farrell, his former AAU teammate on PSA. Charlton to the free throw line. Kicks Quisenberry, far corner, pump fake. Pulls up for 2 off the side of the rim. Khalid Moore tries to track it down, and he almost does. And this one will go back to St. Bonaventure.
It was a good possession for Fordham. They got a good look at the end of the day. Darius Quisenberry wide open pull-up jumper you typically feel good about. He just couldn't get it to fall. A theme we've seen from him in this one. 1 for 8 in the game, Thomas. If Fordham wants to match St. Bonaventure offensively, they're going to need him to come alive.
Luke brings it up for the Bonnies, working right to left. Up the middle he goes on Will Richardson. 34-32 lead St. Bonaventure, 7:15 to go in the game. Luke driving inside and draws the foul on Nowitzki, so he'll go to the line for 2.
Regardless, that's not the matchup that Fordham wants. You don't want a 5'11 explosive athlete at the perimeter with Rossi Nowitzki guarding him. He's going to blow line 9 out of 10 times. That was one of the 9.
So Luke will go to the free throw line, the Patriot League Rookie of the Year last year. Comes in from Holy Cross. Is asked to replace Kyle Lofton, which is a daunting task, but so far so good as the first free throw is off front rim. Still a 2-point lead for the Bonnies. 17:49 to go in the second half. Luck's second free throw is up and splits a pair, so a 3-point lead for St. Bonaventure. Bonnies now deploying a full court press. Charlton gets it into Khalid Moore, far side corner. Finding Quisenberry, and Bonnies back off. Now Will Richardson comes across to bring it across the timeline again. 17:40 to go in the game. 3-point lead for St. Bonaventure. Charlton, right side wing. Quisenberry around the screen. Down the right lane he goes, stripped. Pushed out of bounds, but it'll go back to the St. Bonaventure Bonnies.
Because of the defense that St. Bonaventure is bringing, where they're instantly doubling into the paint, they had an extra defender right there. Despite Darius Quisenberry blowing by his initial defender, they had help right there to slap that out of bounds, and then it goes off the body of Darius.
Luke walks it up for St. Bonaventure again. Switched onto by Nowitzki. High screen coming. Charlton muscles Venning off of him, and the turnover here forced by Fordham again.
That's a break for Fordham right there. Just what we talked about. Rossi Nowitzki should not be playing at the perimeter. You don't want him at the top of the key. They did a good job, St. Bonaventure, of switching, drawing him in there, putting Andrew Charlton in the paint. Unfortunately, the outlet pass couldn't be made.
Khalid Moore, Will Richardson working that backcourt to break this press. 3-point lead still, 17-10 to go in the second half. High screen from Nowitzki. Richardson down the right side, pulls back. Khalid Moore at the top of the circle. Kick pass, Quisenberry left wing. Charlton receives another high screen. Fordham playing catch on the perimeter. Richardson, foul on the floor against St. Bonaventure. This one is against Kyrell Luke, and Fordham will retain inbound possession underneath their basket on the far side.
Will Richardson, we've seen him with the ball in his hands a lot more in this second half than that first. Yes, he drilled those 2 threes, but he's really been the focal point of the offensive attack here in the second half.
Nowitzki driving the right baseline. Oh, what a slam! Rostik Nowitzki blows the roof off this place, and a chance for one more at the line.
And he got up in a hurry. I don't think anyone expected that, Thomas. Looked like a clear drive on the baseline, and then bam, he's able to rise up, use his size to his advantage, slam it home, and the foul.
Rostik Nowitzki, he's been one of the real surprises of the season this year. He got thrusted into the starting role in the last few games. Chance for one more free throw. This one is up and bounces off, so cannot convert. 35-34 lead for St. Bonaventure, 16:47 to go. walks it up, played by Richardson. Finding Amaduson at the free throw line area, who's just checked in for St. Bonaventure. Stagnant motion here from St. Bonaventure. Farrell pulls up from 10, off short, ball tipped around right into the hands of Khalid Moore. Moore stares down Charlton, picked off, and here comes Darrell Banks. St. Bonnie's on the move. Banks in and out dribble, nearly loses possession. Farrell at the right wing. Kick past Luck, top of the circle. Pulls up from the free throw line. Well short, Charlton with the rebound. Throws it ahead for Quisenberry. Lays it up and in for two. And Fordham takes the lead, 36-35, 4 minutes into the second half.
A fantastic pass from Antrell Charlton. Led Darius Quisenberry right to the basket and used a soft putback.
Quisenberry now playing Darrell Banks, chest-to-chest defense. Banks trying to shake Quisenberry free. Luck on the far sideline. Reilly Center a little bit quieter than it normally is. Luck pulls up, free throw line, Jay, yes! Kyrell Luck, a smooth stroke, and Bonnie's back in front, 37-36. 15 and a half to go here in the second half. Richardson, kick pass Nowitzki. Lob pass for Khalid Moore on the left block, trying to work through a double team. Weaves his way through and lays it in for two, and Fordham pulls the lead back.
Really good move, split the two defenders in the double right there and found an opening under the basket.
38-37 Fordham. 15 minutes to go here in the second half. And a foul here against Will Richardson. We'll get the hand check. This will send us to our first media timeout. Fordham up front, 38-37 on the Bonnies. Just about 5 minutes played in the second half. This is Fordham men's basketball on WFUV Sports.
What's up, guys? I'm Julia Moss.
And I'm Will Talent.
And we're two of your hosts for one of WFUV's football podcasts, NFL Friday.
Tune in every Friday for all news and updates around the National Football League.
Also, we'll be making our picks of the week around the league on every episode. Check out NFL Friday wherever you get your podcasts to catch the action.
Welcome back to the Reilly Center up here in Olean, New York. Our coverage of Fordham men's basketball on 90.7 FM. Ryan Gregware, I'm Thomas Aiello. Ryan, back and forth we go. Heavyweight boxing matches. We said it earlier in the broadcast, but really, it's been a lot of fun this game.
Thomas, this has been so exciting. Let me just say, the back and forth action offensively, that's been the surprise to me. Typically, Fordham, it's ugly, it's gritty, it's defense, but in this one, it's been offense blow for blow.
Rostik Nowitzki also play of the game so far, turning around on the right baseline and slamming in two guys' face. And he's really been a surprise, almost like a jack in the box. He just jumps out and whoa, he's got the talent right there. He showcased it on a sick move.
But we knew he had the size, too. You know, the talent's one thing, but the size is what he's always had. So for him to use it to his advantage, it's one of the reasons he's taken that jump in his second year at Fordham. And a sight to see. Unfortunately, for Fordham, he couldn't finish the free throw, but nonetheless, a highlight-level play.
Meanwhile, for St. Bonaventure, they're also going back and forth. Kyrell Luck starting to heat up just a little bit, hit a jumper earlier before the media timeout. But this St. Bonaventure group right now, it's a very unfair standard for the most part to compare it to last year's team, but they have a lot of the elements that last year's team had. Incredibly gritty, incredibly tough, and extremely athletic, and they're really putting that to the test against Fordham today.
The one common denominator is Mark Schmidt. This is how he builds his basketball teams. Fordham's been tested time and time again with that toughness, but they've done a good job of responding.
He's also had a great point guard chain over the years. Jalen Adams, Kyle Lofton, and perhaps Kyrell Luke and Darrell Banks will fill into that mold rather soon. As St. Bonaventure will have this side out on the near sideline. 38 for Fordham, 37 St. Bonaventure. Just about 15 minutes to go here in the game. Luck gets the inbound, driving on the left elbow, pulls up again, rebounded by Elijah Gray, and here comes Fordham. Quisenberry walks this across half court. Fordham trying to slow it down a little bit. Khalid Moore left elbow extended. Shade of a double team. Moore runs into a wall, feeding Elijah Gray. Underneath, rejected under the basket. Maluk with the block, and St. Bonaventure the other way.
That had the makings of another highlight level dunk. Unfortunately for Fordham, St. Bonaventure did a great job getting back to the basketball.
And we have a little extracurriculars. A foul against Fordham, but Moses Flowers shot the ball after the whistle was blown. The official goes over to Flowers and says, don't do that. It's Elijah Gray's second foul. You can hear Keith Ergo very faintly discussing with the officials about the foul call. 14:30 to go here in the second half. Still 1 point lead for Fordham. Banks played by Rose closely on the top of the perimeter. Luck on the left wing. High screen Malau. Now Luke driving around. Farrell left wing three. Offside rim. Charlton the rebound. And an offensive foul here against Khalid Moore. Threw Moses Flowers off of his side. This one's going the other way.
It's something we saw a ton in the first half, and with this game really winding down, back and forth, Fordham can't give them these free opportunities. They were looking to push the ball in transition, and now had an opportunity that St. Bonaventure took right back.
So Luke will walk this up. 38-37 score. Fordham still up. 14:05, and now a foul going the other way. This one against Kyrell Luke.
Well, for all I just talked about with Fordham, the foul's going their way. We've seen it back and forth. These refs have not been afraid to blow the whistle.
And more extracurriculars, whistles flying, some frustrations perhaps boiling over from St. Bonaventure a little bit. You can hear the student section chanting, that's BS. So 14:08 here left in the second half. All sorts of things going on. 38 for Fordham, 37 St. Bonaventure. Charlton inbounds on the near sideline, finding Kyle Rose, now back to Charlton. Crossing the half-court mark, 14 minutes to go now. Bounce pass Quisenberry, left elbow extended. On the drive on the left block. Trying to kick it out, Kyle Rose with a pump fake. A sidestep three ball off the back iron, ball tipped around, and we're going to have a foul on the floor. This one's going against St. Bonaventure. Elijah Gray drawing this one on Anwar Malauk.
For all the frustration we just saw on
we've got some beef. Look at this. Darius Quisenberry getting heated up. Technical foul here being handed out. Mark Schmidt coming out to half court. Yelling at Anwar Malauk.
And you had Kyle Rose and Antro Charlton holding back Darius Quisenberry. And Thomas, it took their full force to hold him back. I've never seen him that animated.
So both teams are going to try and cool it down just a little bit. Game is getting a little heated out there. Fordham clapping in excitement for their side. St. Bonaventure and their fans booing in disbelief.
And knowing this Fordham team, they're embracing this. They want to be the villain. That's how they go into the games. The confidence and swagger that they carry with themselves, they're feeding off this energy of the crowd right now.
You sort of have to wonder almost, Ryan, just some of the things that get said out on the hardwood. I'm sure we probably can't repeat them on the air.
We can't. I'm not sure.
No, we shouldn't, but it's almost just like, why would you do something like that? Especially it's a basketball game, right? It's a college basketball environment. It's supposed to be fun, and sometimes tensions do boil over, but that's just the competitive side of college basketball, and that's why people like you and I, we rave for the stuff like this because of the excitement, the tension, the animation from all these players. These guys just lay it out on the line every single game.
And the reason for all that is because they care, right? This is what they love. This is what they want to do. So to them, it's not just a game. This is life or death, and we're seeing it on the court right now. Maybe that's a bit dramatic, but really, you're seeing right now the tensions are high in this building.
So the officials trying to sort this out, going to the replay monitor. So right now as it stands, give you a little quick recap. The score is 38 for Fordham, 37 for St. Bonaventure. Will Richardson leads the Rams in scoring with 10 points today. I bet you we weren't going to say that at the top of the broadcast, but it's been the Will Richardson show for Fordham. Meanwhile, some other guys contributing. Rostik Nowitzki with a big dunk. He's got 4 points. Khalid Moore with 6 points. Darius Quisenberry with 5. But one of the things that really stands out to Ryan is the Fordham bench scoring. Elijah Gray with 3 points. Zach Reilly with 2. Patrick Kelly hit a 3. And Kyle Rose also hitting a 3. So Fordham really getting a lot of contribution from a lot of different places. And that's really what you want to see from a team that prides themselves on their depth.
They pride themselves on their depth. They pride themselves on playing together, right? It's the whole 12-man unit, so it's no surprise to see 9 of the 11 guys who've gotten into the game score. That's what Fordham basketball is about. All they've talked about is their depth, how they feel everyone can contribute. And in this game, Thomas, really even, Abdou Sabila, he's in score, but he's certainly contributed, grabbing some rebounds here. They've all made an impact.
Meanwhile, for St. Bonaventure, Daryl Banks has 12 points to lead all scorers, but Kyrell Luke coming along, 9 points for him, 4 of 6 from the free throw line. Yan Farrell with 5 and Chad Venning with 6, but it's almost an antithesis. We were talking about the Fordham bench, the St. Bonaventure bench really just coming up empty. The only bench points are Moses Flower, who just drilled a 3 in the first half.
And it hasn't really mattered because you've had Daryl Banks run the show, but Fordham has done a lot better job. He drilled that 1-3 early in this half, then quiet. Since then, Fordham typically, they'll take away your best player. They'll force your role players to beat you. We've seen a bit of a shift in the philosophy the last few games, especially with the early conference struggles. So we'll see what they go with here this last final stretch.
So as the official describes the decision to the public address announcer, we're waiting for official word from the PA system. Now one official goes to talk to Keith Ergo, the other one goes to discuss with Mark Schmidt. So they're calling a technical foul on Kyrell Luke. So Darius Quisenberry is going to go to the free throw line, the leading free throw shooter for this Fordham team, 86%. Technical free throw goes down and does air high fives on the technical free throw, and the second one is ready to go. Quisenberry's free throws go down. 3-point lead for Fordham, and this place, Ryan, has just come alive.
To the surprise of nobody, Thomas, they didn't like that call, and Darius Quisenberry so composed, drilling the 2 free throws with ease.
So Khalid Moore underneath the far side basket will inbound this one for the Rams. Lob pass Quisenberry, right elbow extended, now Charlton. Opposite elbow extended. Khalid Moore at the top of the circle, kick pass Quisenberry near side corner. Rolling is Khalid Moore. Inside on Amaduson. Double team met. 8 on the shot clock. Moore throws it out. Charlton far corner. 3 is no good. Amaduson with the rebound, and here comes St. Bonaventure. Brett Rumpel. This place is rocking right now. Rumpel down the lane, and he's fouled on the floor by Kyle Rose.
One thing with this arena, because of the size, they can get loud in a hurry. Things can flip 180 just like that. So something for Fordham to be very wary of here as we approach this final stretch.
So Rumpel will inbound on the far side baseline. Lob pass to Farrell. Kick pass Amundsen, left elbow extended. Amaduson rather. Rumpel on the far side wing. Tries to find the roller, but loses the handle. Tipped out by Fordham, and this one will stay with the Bonnies. Will Richardson and Rostik Nowitzki are coming in. Patrick Kelly's going to check in for Khalid Moore. Kyle Rose will sit down for the Rams as well.
And this might be the most offensive lineup we've seen Fordham roll out there today. Really, 4 of the 5 players' primary role is scoring the basketball.
Oh, a hard shoulder from Rumpel. Banks pulls the 3, no hesitation. Ball is loose. Offensive board, Flowers. Layup, nothing there. Ball tipped around. Farrell has it now. Ball rolls around, and we've got a foul going up against Fordham.
You look at Farrell, his ability to play the 3 or the 4 is impressive, but what's more impressive is how he can play inside. He's going up against Rostik Nowitzki, Pat Kelly, 2 guys that are both taller than him, and this is a freshman too. He's new to this conference, to this league, but he's able to keep fighting, keep the possession alive until the foul goes his way.
So Yan Farrell will go to the free throw line. The freshman, his first free throw was good. Native of Gabon, but he played for the PSA Cardinals and AAU. Highly touted recruit, had a number of really good offers. His second free throw is up and good, so St. Bonaventure cuts it to a 1-point lead, 40-39 with 13 minutes to go. The Reilly Center is electrified with energy. Richardson walks this up on Rumpel. Richardson, a burst of speed, behind the back he goes. Kick past Charlton right wing. Bounce past Quisenberry at the key. Quisenberry takes a tumble, finds Richardson. This one, big shot for 3. Will Richardson have a day, young man? 43-39 Fordham, 12:30 to go. Rumpel down the middle. Kick pass far corner for Flowers. Back to Rumpel, pulls up from the free throw line. This one's short. Quisenberry skying for the board. On the right wing, Quisenberry evades a double team. Drives the right baseline. Bounce pass Kelly. Extra pass Richardson. Down the left lane. Kick pass Charlton with a pump fake. Far corner Kelly. A three! Off the back of the rim. Nowitzki tracks the O-board down. Swing pass Charlton left wing. Now Quisenberry near side wing. Trying to feed Nowitzki. Backs down Amadusin. Richardson, a three ball straight on. In and out and back in again. It's the Will Richardson show. 46-39, Fordham, 11:40 to go.
Thomas, I can't fathom why they're still letting Will Richardson take threes in this game.
This crowd is electric. Moses Flowers at the top of the circle. Kick pass Banks, near corner three. Offside rim, and Nowitzki tracks the rebound down. Quisenberry far sideline. Played by Banks. High screen from Nowitzki coming on the left side. Double team coming. Quisenberry, reverse layup is good, and the foul. And Darius Quisenberry mobbed by his teammates as we go to our next media timeout. It's a huge run for Fordham, 10-2, 48 for the Rams, 39 St. Bonaventure, 11-12 to go. Let's go to a one-on-one scoreboard with Taylor Mascetta.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Just some absolute mayhem in the A-10 right now, with multiple teams neck and neck and searching for upsets. Starting off, the St. Joseph's Hawks are looking for a comeback against the George Washington Colonials, and it is all knotted up 55-55. Nail-biter out in Amherst, Richmond Spiders and the UMass Minutemen have been neck and neck this entire game. UMass is now leading 52-51. Loyola Chicago is trying to keep their momentum up. They're still currently ahead of Duquesne 40-39. There's still a battle brewing down in Virginia, with VCU comfortably leading George Mason 44-33. And what may be an A-10 shocker tonight, URI is currently ahead of Dayton 43-35. Wrapping up A-10 action, the Fordham women's basketball is up against the Richmond Spiders. Actually, the Rams are still down 38-31. Some top 25 matchups include a Big East matchup against number 13 Xavier and number 18 UConn. Huskies have closed the gap, but the Musketeers are still on top, 76-72. Number 3 Houston and UCF is still close. Cougars narrowly holding the lead, 54-48. Number 4 Tennessee Volunteers are scaring off the Georgia Bulldogs. Vols up 49-30. In the NBA, the Brooklyn Nets are up against the Philadelphia Sixers, all tied up at the 41 at the end of the first. Finally, in the NHL, the New York Islanders are behind the Ottawa Senators 2-0, but the New York Rangers have surged back, now up against the Toronto Maple Leafs 2-1. With the one-on-one scoreboard, I'm Taylor Mascetta.
Welcome back to the Reilly Center. Our coverage of Fordham men's basketball on 90.7 FM alongside Ryan Gregware. I'm Thomas Aiello. And Ryan, successful marriage proposal here at the St. Bonaventure Arena.
Thomas, I thought we saw it all, and this game has been back and forth and back and forth. I didn't have a marriage proposal on the box score that was not in the pregame scouting report. Maybe it should have been, because honestly, we've probably seen crazier things in this one.
We really have, and Fordham going on a 12-2 run, rather. Excuse me, I said 10-2 earlier, but it's been an insane run, and Will Richardson leading the charge. 16 points for the freshman from Teaneck, New Jersey.
And when you're hot, you have everything going, right? He gets the bank off the glass, then a rim roll. That one felt like it was rolling forever up in the air. He gets it to go. He's now 4 for 5 from 3. 16 points in this one. They've needed offense in the second half, and he's answered the billing every step of the way.
St. Bonaventure, a little bit of a rut. 1 for their last 9. Those tensions boiled over in the previous altercation. So Darius Quisenberry goes to the line to complete his and one play. Off the back of the iron. Lead for Fordham stays at 9, 48-39, 11:09 to go in the game. Luke bringing it up for the Bonnies. High screen switched onto by Kelly. Farrell now on the far side wing. Handoff to Moses Flowers. Luke feeding Chad Vending on the left block. Working on Nowitzki. Nowitzki stays on his feet, and Vending with a nice hook shot for 2. Chad Vending slashes the lead down 48-41.
A really skillful move in the post. Didn't get too rattled there. He was able to take his time, get open, and take a nice shot.
Richardson near side wing. Quisenberry with a pump fake. Kick. Kelly left wing 3. Nothing there. Back iron, and Darrell Banks the rebound. High side for Banks, gets a screen from Venning. Around Nowitzki he goes, but he's going to be fouled on the way up, and 2 free throws coming for Darrell Banks.
St. Bonaventure coming to that timeout, instantly responding. A nice shot under the basket, getting a stop, a lucky stop, albeit with how open Pat Kelly was, then pushing it the other way with your best player at the free throw line.
So Darrell Banks will go to the line, as Ryan said. 48-41 is the score. Fordham on top of the Bonnies with 10:25 to go in the game. St. Bonaventure, one of the more average free throw shooting teams in the A-10, as Banks hits the first one. Khalid Moore and Kyle Rose come back in. St. Bonaventure is in that bottom third area in the conference in team free throw percentage. So as Banks gets set for his second free throw, makes both of them there, so it's a 6-point lead, or rather 5-point lead, 48-43 for Fordham.
And Fordham, it's really important they don't get content here. They have to keep pushing the basketball.
Richardson near side wing. High screen from Nowitzki. Kick pass Khalid Moore. Finding Rose far corner. Reilly center dialing up the volume. Handoff Charlton at the free throw line. Bounce pass Nowitzki on the right block area, working on Venning. Nowitzki goes to work. Pump fake in the air. Nothing there. Farrell with the rebound, and here come the Bonnies. Banks nearly loses it on the far side corner. Double team. Charlton comes up with the loose one. Weaves around. Khalid Moore in stride. Layup inside, and he's fouled on the way up, so a chance now for 2 for Khalid Moore.
Kyle Rose on the defensive side of the floor deserves a ton of credit right there. Not only did he stop Banks in transition, he was able to get the basketball back, Fordham pushing it the other way, and now they get 2 free throws.
You hear the displeasure of the St. Bonaventure crowd. Another chant of "That's BS." As Khalid Moore will go to the free throw line. Grad student transfer from Georgia Tech, native of Briarwood, New York. And the first free throw bounces off. Elijah Gray will now check in. So 48-43 is the score, 9:46 to go in the game. Moore's second free throw is good, so he splits a pair. It's now a 6-point lead for Fordham. $9:40 to go in the game. Luke feeding Flowers, left side wing. Played by Charlton, throws him off. Offensive foul! Antrell Charlton draws the push against Moses Flowers, and this one's going back to Fordham.
The refs haven't been afraid to blow that foul call when a player hits the floor defensively, and Moses Flowers becomes the latest victim.
49-43 lead for Fordham, 9:35 to go. Barry Evans comes back in for Moses Flowers. Will Richardson walks this up for Fordham. The freshman getting put into a real tough spot, but he's made do so far. Khalid Moore, left side elbow, trying to work on Farrell. Moore now to the right block, met by a double team. Bounce pass, Gray inside for 2. What a find from Khalid Moore. It's a 51-43 lead for Fordham.
With his body pointing completely the other direction to swing it on the baseline, keep the ball in bounds, and find a wide open Gray. A really impressive pass from Khalid Moore.
51-43 lead, 9:05 to go. Charlton almost picks it off. Rose to the deck. Out of bounds, and this one goes to Fordham.
Very good defense there from Antrell Charlton, and Fordham gets the bounce. It bounces back off of St. Bonaventure, and they'll get the basketball back.
Will Richardson walks this up again for the Rams. Fordham really digging deep into their bag of tricks offensively. Richardson on the left wing. Khalid Moore at the free throw line, trying to work on Yan Farrell. He loses the dribble. Double team coming, and a foul on the floor. I don't know about that one, Ryan. That one looked pretty close to me. Chad Venning is in the state of shock, but that really could have been either way.
It looked a very similar play to what we just saw on Fordham's side of the floor. As Khalid Moore under the basket, 2 defenders on him. He was trying to dump it off yet again to Elijah Gray, but before he could get the chance, you can debate the call, but at the end of the day, it was a foul, and he's going to go to the free throw line.
So Khalid Moore goes to the charity stripe, split his last trip. First free throw is good. So now it's a 9-point lead for the Rams, 8:45 to go. Khalid Moore gets set for a second free throw. This one's up and off, so he splits the next trip. Venning with the rebound, still a 9-point lead. 8:40 to go in the game. Luke walking this up for the Bonnies. Feeding to Barry Evans, left side wing. Kick past Banks now in the far corner. And foul against Kyler Rose. Slaps Daryl Banks in the face.
Now, one thing you can't say is they haven't gone both ways. For all the displeasure that St. Bonaventure's had, those same ticky-tacky calls, they have gone against the Rams.
Well, being an official is one of the toughest jobs ever in life. And kudos to the officials today for really holding it down. Had to sort out a beef. They've called a very tight game, but within reason.
They've been busy.
They have. So it's a 52-40 lead, 43 lead for Fordham as Banks' first free throw is up and good. 44 now for the Bonnies, 8:26 to go. It's been a really, really fun game to this point, and we are sure in for an exciting finish, Ryan. Banks' second free throw is good, 52-45 lead for the Rams. Long pass Charlton, Fordham gets it across the timeline. Charlton and Richardson play catch at the block circle logo. Quisenberry far side wing. Kick past Charlton. Now Elijah Gray, right elbow extended. Gray finds a cutting Charlton on the right block. Bounce past Quisenberry, far corner. Kick past Charlton, a straight on three. Off back iron, Elijah Gray flies in. The freshman coming in with a huge putback jam, 54-45. Banks on the other end, a three.
Thomas, it really has been blow after blow. Anytime you try to catch your breath, something happens the other end.
Hold on to your hats, folks. Here we go. 6-point lead for the Rams. 7:33 to go in the game. Bounce past Quisenberry, far side wing, finding Khalid Moore at the left elbow. Driving, turning, fading, pump fake, and one! What a turn of events here at the Reilly Center. Fordham and St. Bonaventure going back and forth. 56-48 is the score. 7:24 to go in the game. Let's go back to the Rose Hill Studios for a one-on-one scoreboard with Taylor Mascetta.
Hey everyone, this is Jack Curry, WFUV class of 1986. WFUV is your home for all things Fordham athletics, with live coverage of Fordham football, Fordham men's and women's basketball, in addition to One-on-One, the Saturday sports call-in show. Stay right here on 90.7 FM for all things WFUV sports.
Welcome back to the Reilly Center, our coverage of Fordham men's basketball here on 90.7 FM. Ryan Gregware, Thomas Aiello. Ryan, what a sequence of events. I mean, I'm trying to catch my breath here, but it's just awesome play after awesome play from both teams.
Yeah, you really needed that media timeout. Maybe just as much as the players. Now, they probably needed it more, but this game has been unbelievable. The back and forth, when one team looks like they'll take the momentum, you'll see it shift completely in the other direction. It looks like Daryl Banks hitting that three. Okay, that could be a sign of things to come. Then Khalid Moore at the other end gets the basket to go and the foul to go as well. He's somebody, Thomas, now up to 10 points in this one, has really heated up in this one.
Meanwhile, for St. Bonaventure, it's worth noting Chad Venning has fouled out. He has 5 personal fouls. That's a huge loss for St. Bonaventure because he really anchors that middle area of the paint. He can really hold it down defensively. Finishes the day with 8 points and 6 rebounds. But now, if you're Mark Schmidt, it's Max Amaduson, really, who you're going to as your backup center. And you may have to play Yan Farrell, perhaps Barry Evans at that small ball 5. You got to get creative here.
Amaduson, he hasn't really been in the rotation a ton this year. There's 85 total minutes on the season. So this is an area of your Fordham. You know that he just fouled out. This is where you really have to exploit that. Vasa Gavitsky, Elijah Gray, whoever's your big man down to the paint really needs to attack inside.
So Khalid Moore goes to the free throw line to attempt to convert his and one. This free throw's up and good, so A 57-48 lead for the Rams, 7:24 to go in the game. Still a lot of time left. Luke walking this up for St. Bonaventure in the middle, played by Will Richardson. Bounce pass Darrell Banks left wing, kick pass Farrell now at the top of the circle. Richardson and Luke now, left side, Luke driving, puts on the brakes. Banks around the curl for three, nothing there. Richardson with a rebound. Will Richardson looking up ahead, finding Khalid Moore right beside him on the right wing. Far corner pass, Antrell Charlton left wing, and now Fordham swings this around, trying to exploit the mismatch. High screen from Khalid Moore for Quisenberry on the right wing. Swing around for Charlton. Lob pass, Elijah Gray underneath. Inside, blocked underneath by Luke. And St. Bonaventure with the rebound, and here come the Bonnies. Luke at the top, driving the left lane, getting inside. Oh, what a move, up and under. Offensive rebound, Maluk throws it up, and rebound Elijah Gray.
This is where not having Chad Venning in the game really hurts you. He's so good under the basket, particularly on the glass right there, unable to get it to go as Bonaventure.
6:14 to go, 57-48 lead for Fordham. Richardson, far side wing. Bounce past Khalid Moore. The key area, played by Elijah Gray. Driving on the right block. Spinning around. Throws it off of a foot, but he gets it back. Elijah Gray pulls a three. This one's short. Charlton, the offensive rebound. Khalid Moore, no one home. Kaboom! Rams on parade, a 12-point lead, 60-48, 5:40 to go.
For as loud as this place can get, it can get just as quiet when you take their heart and soul out of it, which Khalid Moore just did.
Luke from the high screen from Malauk, and a foul on Will Richardson with the reach. So Will Richardson picks up a foul, and he's been really good all day, Ryan, but he's got to maintain the discipline, especially in these closing minutes, because you lose Richardson, that's a lead ball handler for Fordham.
And those are one of those moves that remind you, this kid's a freshman. He's going to get so much better. That's just a mental lapse in judgment. Not only you talk about the foul trouble, but sending St. Bonaventure to the free throw line when you've had so much momentum, you opened up this lead to 12, the largest in the game. Why give them free chances to get back in this game?
So Cairo Luke goes to the free throw line. He drew that foul. First free throw is off the side of the iron, and rebound Rostik Nowitzki with authority. Antrell Charlton directs traffic for Fordham. Walking it up slowly, 5:23 to go in the game. 12-point lead for Fordham. Bounce past Nowitzki, free throw line area, played by Antoine Hill. Nowitzki turning, Khalid Moore under the basket. Counted and one again! Khalid Moore with another and one play, and he has the chance for one more.
And he's came alive in the second half. Now up to 14 in this game with a chance to add it again. I just mentioned how you need to exploit the inside. Well, it's been Khalid Moore every time. A great job from this coaching staff to recognize the mismatch that Fordham has and continue to attack it.
62-48 lead for the Rams. I believe we called a timeout here. We're going to stay right with you as Fordham is going on an incredible run, 8-0 run in the last 2 minutes and 34 seconds. Will Richardson doing a lot of dirty work, but Khalid Moore starting to come alive. It's been an even distribution of scoring here for the Fordham Rams. All but two guys have scored today that have played. And Elijah Gray, we also haven't really talked about him a lot, Ryan. 7 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 really good plays.
And for what the stat sheet has shown, he's played better because those have came in the biggest of opportunities. The second chance pushback is what we'll all remember, but he's just been massive in this game.
Khalid Moore hits the free throw, 63-48 lead. 5:10 to go. Darrell Banks now played by Quisenberry at the logo. Double team met and a foul on Antrell Charlton for the reach. Keith Ergo, much to the disbelief.
And it goes back to what we were just saying. Now Will Richardson has 4 fouls in this game. He's 1 away from fouling out and gives St. Bonaventure another chance at the free throw line.
So Banks will go to the free throw line. As we mentioned earlier in our broadcast, transferred in from St. Peter's, his first free throw was good, was the main catalyst on Shaheen Holloway's magical run to the Elite Eight. As this free throw is up and good, so Banks gets both. 13-point lead for St. Bonaventure. 5:04 to go. Fordham trying to close this one out on the road. Finding Khalid Moore off the inbound is Colorose. Bounce pass back to Rose. Fordham trying to get it across half court. Rose accelerates on the far sideline and crosses. 20 seconds on the shot clock, 4:54 to go. It is dead silent right now here in the Reilly Center. Bounce pass for Nowitzki on the right wing extended. Bounce pass, Khalid Moore underneath, lays it up for two.
And this has just been a play every time. They're giving it to Khalid Moore under the basket. St. Bonaventure, they haven't had any answer for it.
The second cutter's chopping up the Bonnie's defense. A 15-point lead for Fordham, and the officials trying to discuss the previous play. This is an interesting turn of events here. So a 15-point lead for Fordham, 4:41 to go.
And you see Mark Schmidt during that stoppage taking every opportunity to get his team over there and talk about the schematics. You heard Kurt Urgo say it, but essentially a free timeout.
So Farrell inbounds. Luke will walk it up, now hands off to Banks. Crosses the half-court mark at the Bonaventure block logo. Anquan Hill high screen, Banks rejects on the left side now. Fading is Hill. Spinning in the paint. Bounce pass to Evans under the basket. Reverse layup, no good. Ball's tipped around. Kyle Rose snatches the rebound.
And now, Thomas, you look at this game. Up 15, under 5 minutes to play. The clock has to be your friend. Every possession, drain as much of it as possible.
Charlton, bounce pass to Nowitzki. Top of the circle. 4:09 left to go in the game clock. Nowitzki trying to shake and bake Hill. Spin move, bounce pass, and a foul. They're going to get a reach here against St. Bonaventure.
And you hear St. Bonaventure complaining, though, but that call saved them because Rossi Nowitzki made a fantastic pass inside to Khalid Moore, who finished yet another layup. So this saves them potentially for now from free Fordham points.
Well, the fans have stacked up the number of complaints that they have filed today with the officiating. Obviously not going in St. Bonaventure's favor, but that's not to say Fordham has had calls go against them. Some fans heading for the Isaacs as Nowitzki's first free throw is up, and this one's good. 16-point lead for the Rams, 4:05 to go in the game.
And truly just a stunning series of events these last 5 minutes with how much the crowd was in this game. We talked about it, Fordham will embrace it, but I think, Thomas, even us have to be surprised with how much they were willing to take on the role as the villain.
Nowitzki extends the lead to 17. 4 minutes to go. St. Bonaventure is down 17 points, as I just said. Luke at the top side. Down the middle he goes. Shovel pass to Hill underneath for two. And there's Anquan Hill, the transfer from FDU. Rose trying to inbound this one. Finds Khalid Moore under on the near sideline. Double team coming. Fordham tries to get it across half court, and they do. Rose on the far side wing. Bounce pass to Quisenberry. Fordham's going to slow this one down. 3.5 minutes to go. 67-52 lead for the Fordham Rams. Nowitzki right side wing. Played by Hill with a jab step. Trying to take the big man one-on-one. Nowitzki inside, left hand, and he's fouled. And he's going to go to the free throw line, much to the displeasure of the St. Bonaventure crowd. 67 for Fordham, 52 for the Bonnies. 3:17 to go. Let's go to a one-on-one scoreboard with Taylor Mascetta.
The one-on-one scoreboard.
Just some absolute mayhem in the A10 right now with multiple teams just neck and neck, and they are searching for upsets. Starting off, the George Washington is stretching away from St. Joseph's, but now it is all knotted up at 69. Absolute nail-biter out in Amherst with the Richmond Spiders and the UMass Minutemen. They've been back and forth this entire game. They are now tied at 71. Duquesne is not going down without a fight against Loyola Chicago, but the Ramblers are narrowly leading 54-52. VCU is now holding a comfortable lead against George Mason, 58-41. And keeping your eye out for a potential upset alert with URI currently ahead of Dayton, 63-51. Wrapping up A10 action, Fordham women's basketball is playing against the Richmond Spiders. The Rams have surged back to the lead, 53-49. The top 25 games included a Big East matchup between the number 13 Xavier Musketeers and number 18 Yukon Huskies. Despite the Huskies storming back from a massive double-digit deficit, the Musketeers came out on top 82-79. And number 3 Houston is holding a firm lead over UCF 67-61. Over in the NBA, the Philadelphia 76ers are leading the Brooklyn Nets 71-62. And finally, in the NHL, the New York Islanders are behind the Ottawa Senators 2-1, while the New York Rangers have surged back, now up against the Toronto Maple Leafs 2-1. With the one-on-one scoreboard, I'm Taylor Mascetta.
Welcome back to 90.7 FM's coverage of Fordham men's basketball. Alongside Ryan Gregware, I'm Thomas Aiello. Ryan, 67-52. Fordham's up 3 minutes and 17 seconds to go in the game. And these last 5 or so minutes of the second half have really just been an absolute rout.
Yeah, and Fordham's done a great job of coming into this building, not taking no for an answer. When they have an area to attack, they've done just that. Even these last few possessions, when the game has seemingly swung their way, they haven't backed down. They've continued to put the pressure on St. Bonaventure to the point where, Thomas, it looks like it could be insurmountable.
So Rostik Nowitzki will go to the free throw line. For previous play before the timeout, Nowitzki was fouled underneath the basket, so he's getting 2 free throws.
And the important thing of that, just to cut you off, is Fordham took 26 seconds off the clock before that foul took place. So even though he just missed the first for Fordham, to really shed the clock right there, it's seen as a win regardless.
So Nowitzki's first free throw is off. Get ready for the second one, and Nowitzki tosses this one up. This one rolls off, rebound by Barry Evans. St. Bonaventure going to try and push the tempo. Luke, top of the circle, played by Kyler Rose closely. High screen from Evans. Luke met by a double team. Evans driving down the middle. Extra pass, and Quan Hill under the basket. Rejected by Nowitzki, but they're going to call a foul here against Rostik Nowitzki. 3 minutes and 3 seconds to go. Not the sort of foul you want to commit, Ryan.
If you're Fordham, you have to do your best not to foul. I know it's tough, and I know with the way the refs are calling this game, it's even tougher than typical, but that's how St. Bonaventure can creep back into this, when they can score without that clock ticking.
So Hill will go to the free throw line, the transfer from FDU. First free throw is good. Also the NEC Rookie of the Year last year. In between free throws as the Bonnies are shooting. Can't hear a pin drop as the second free throw now goes down for Hill. 67-54 lead. Fordham still up, trying to close this one out. Inbound pass to Nowitzki. Double team coming. Fordham gets it across half court. Khalid Moore racing to the basket, but pulls it back. Long pass to Kyler Rose at the Bonaventure block logo. 2:50 to go in the game. 13-point lead for Fordham. Quisenberry far side wing. 10 on the shot clock. We have a foul here away from the ball. This one's going against St. Bonaventure. This one's going against Yan Farrell. Now free throws the rest of the way for Fordham. They're in the penalty.
And that one came with 7 seconds left on the shot clock. So again, Fordham doing a good job of letting the clock dwindle here. Now Rostik Nowitzki to the free throw line. We just saw him miss 2, so a time for him to redeem himself.
First free throw is up and off the back of the iron. Still a 13-point lead. Next free throw from Nowitzki is up and bounces in. So those last 2 trips, 1 of 4 for Nowitzki, 68-54 lead. Luke, top of the circle, played closely by Rose. 2.5 minutes to go in the game. Off the roll, ball's tipped around. Quisenberry tries to dive. Nowitzki goes down. Darrell Banks comes up with it. Banks down the middle, throws up a floater. It's good. 68-56 lead now for the Bonnies. Timeout called here with 2:22 to go in the game. It's now a 12-point lead for the Bonnies, Ryan.
And it's certainly not over. And Rostik Nowitzki kept the door open for St. Bonaventure. You mentioned 1 for 4 at the free throw line. And Darrell Banks, a really nice, tough jumper driving shot right there. And suddenly, Fordham, they have to be careful with the basketball, make their free throws, and they'll be fine. But if they don't do that, which they haven't the last few possessions, they could be in some trouble.
And while for St. Bonaventure as well, they're trying to pick up the tempo, and they've certainly found some success in doing so. Darrell Banks has 21 points today to lead all scorers. Meanwhile, for Fordham, Khalid Moore with 19 and Will Richardson with 16 points today. But if you're Keith Ergo, you really may want to think about perhaps changing up the personnel just a little bit, maybe put an extra ball handler out there trying to slow this game down. And there's a very select few people that come to mind, and one of them being Zach Reilly, Ryan.
Offensively, I think that's the right call, but defensively, remember, you do need that anchor in the paint. You can't let St. Bonaventure attack you on the offensive glass, which explains why Rossi Nowitzki has been in the game the last few possessions, but I like the thought process there. Not only is Zach Reilly a shooter, but he's quick. He can dribble the ball, so here when you can't turn it over, you have to get it past the half-court line. He's somebody that thrives in that role.
Meanwhile, for St. Bonaventure, Anquan Hill has 4 points, and you're sort of wondering why he really wasn't playing earlier in the game, because he has tremendous length, very versatile on the defensive end, and can really get underneath the basket. It's almost questioning why Mark Schmidt didn't play him earlier, but right now, if St. Bonaventure's looking to mount a comeback, they've got a pretty decent foundation so far for that.
Well, they certainly have the roster, and with Daryl Banks' ability to catch fire and his ability to shoot the 3-ball, you're never out of the game. So that's where Fordham really needs to keep the attention to detail, because this has been a phenomenal second half. It's not over yet. A very important 2:22. It still has to tick off the clock.
As we get set, coming out of this timeout, should be momentarily. The live stats were just updated with Daryl Banks has 23 points, so my mistake earlier. 7 of 12 shooting. Doesn't get much more efficient than that for a high-volume sort of shooter. Meanwhile, for Fordham, this is something we've harped on them a ton this year, Ryan, is the turnovers. They forced 13 St. Bonaventure turnovers. Fordham has 9. That number for them is incredible at this point in the season.
And incredible to do it on the road, because St. Bonaventure, one of the things they thrive at is, particularly at home, turning you over. Fordham has not let them win the turnover battle in this one. When you think about where Fordham was early in this year, that's something we would have never seen coming.
Well, Fordham also winning the offensive rebounding battle, 10 to Bonaventure's 7, even though the overall rebounding battle favors the Bonnies. So off the inbound on the far side basket, Kyle Rose will take this one out. He can go side to side. Trying to look for the open man. Quisenberry's the first available. Long pass intercepted by Barry Evans on the near side wing. Daryl Banks pulls a 3. Fouling the three-point shooter is Fordham. And 3 free throws now coming up for St. Bonaventure.
Well, this is the game, Thomas. Pretty much the worst thing that could potentially happen for Fordham. They just did. They turn it over on the inbound instantly. Then you let Daryl Banks take a 3. You foul him on the 3-point attempt. I could not imagine a sequence worse than that coming out of timeout.
So Daryl Banks will go to the free throw line. He's 6 of 6 today from the charity stripe. His first free throw is up and good. 24 now for Daryl Banks. He's proven his extension of a talent beyond the MAC level. The second free throw is up and good. So now a 68-58 lead for Fordham, 2:15 to go. And this one, 3 of 3 goes Daryl Banks. Now Rostik Nowitzki's going to sit down. Will Richardson's come in, so Khalid Moore is playing center for Fordham. Anquan Hill will sit down. Brett Rumpel will check in for the Bonnies.
And it's not the move you just talked about with Zach Reilly, but what it does, it gives everyone on the floor capable of bringing it up, capable of dribbling the basketball.
Tyler Rose trying to find someone, gets it into Khalid Moore. Nearly a 5-second call. Fordham trying to break the press. And a foul against Kyrell Luke, and that's the last thing the Bonnies needed. They take 5 seconds off the clock. So Keith Ergo is going to play offense, defense. Nowitzki's going to go to the scorer's table. Kyle Rose will go to the free throw line.
And regardless, this game is going to stay interesting unless Fordham can figure out this press, because St. Bonaventure is giving them so many fits in the backcourt. Fordham struggling a ton to just bring the ball up. So a huge 2 free throws here, but nonetheless, this game is not over.
Rose's first free throw is up and good. Kyle Rose has really, an A-10 play, Ryan, especially, he's really struggling to shoot the ball, but every single night he brings effort, he brings the hustle, and he's really getting in the box score in other ways. And today he had a big 3, but also getting into some other areas as well.
It's one of the reasons Fordham loves him coming off the bench. He has the same attitude. He's still going to be closing out the game, but he knows everything they want to do, and he can always contribute in other ways than scoring.
11-point lead for the Rams, about 2 minutes to go. Luke pulls back on the left elbow extended, played by Quisenberry. Luke pulls up 15 feet, fouled on the shot. 2 free throws coming now for the Bonnies.
It's getting almost ridiculous, Thomas. Fordham, these fouls, and I'm not complaining at the call, I'm complaining at the execution from the Fordham defenders. You cannot keep giving them free opportunities at the free throw line.
So Cairo Luke is going to the free throw line again. Going to be shooting 2 free throws here. 9 points today, 5 assists for the sophomore. His first free throw was up and off.
And that's a big one if you're Fordham, particularly when they struggled with the free throw line a bit. St. Bonaventure gets them right back.
Luke gets ready for his second free throw. Will Richardson's going to come in. This one goes down, so Luke splits a pair. Nowitzki and Richardson swap off shifts. Minute 58 to go. Fordham has 3 timeouts remaining, 10 team fouls total for both teams. Rose trying to inbound, and he's going to call a timeout, so Fordham's going to burn one of their timeouts.
And we talk about burn, but I think that's a very smart timeout because this press from St. Bonaventure, again, Fordham, Kyle Rose had nowhere to go with the basketball here. It's what we've seen this entire time down the stretch here, so they have to figure out a way to get the ball up the court efficiently.
The 32nd timeout, 10-point lead for the Rams. Minute 58 to go. This game is taking its sweet time to wrap up here.
I got a feeling, Thomas, these last 2 minutes are going to take even longer than you can imagine.
Should start a stopwatch just to see how long it is in real time. But it doesn't take away from the fact, Ryan, what an entertaining game, especially in that first half, a serious back-and-forth affair, and then Fordham just kicked it in a higher gear, and St. Bonaventure just slipped off and couldn't hold on.
Yeah, they did a great job, Fordham, of one, they hit their big-time shots, and you saw they exploited the weakness of St. Bonaventure by getting Venning out of this game, getting him into foul trouble. You allowed yourself inside to have your way. It's exactly what happened with Khalid Moore exploding in the second half, now up to 19 in the game.
So we have a little bit of football action. Fordham with 3 on one side. Kyle Rose under center. 5-yard pass to Charlton, and tries to get this across half court. Quisenberry met by a trap. Fordham needs to get it over. They do. Charlton finds Khalid Moore in the near side corner. Long pass to Richardson. Fordham going to try and slow this one down, and Barry Evans fouls Quisenberry just near half court.
Now, you mentioned that football inbound. Fordham runs that play a ton, and it works right there to get up the court. And these St. Bonaventure fans, football hasn't been treating them well lately. And again, Fordham able to get the ball off the court.
Only thing missing for Fordham on the football inbound play is Tim DeMorat. So 10-point lead now for the Rams. Darius Quisenberry goes to the free throw line. First free throw is up and bounces in, so now an 11-point cushion for Fordham. Will Richardson swaps his places with Rostik Nowitzki. Offense-defense duo. Rostik Nowitzki going to play deep free safety here. As Quisenberry's second free throw is up and good, so a 12-point lead now for Fordham, a minute 45 to go in the game. Banks bringing this one up for St. Bonaventure, down the middle. Gets some space, chucks a 3, and they foul the 3-point shooter again. Keith Ergo's chanting, "This is ridiculous." Kyler Rose also getting fired up a little bit, but Darrell Banks is going to the free throw line again.
And he's been great at this move, but Fordham, you have to figure out a way to not even let this call be imaginable. You saw Kyle Rose, it looked like did his best to keep his hands away. Coach Ergo's fired up. Kyle Rose is in complete denial, but it's 3 free throws nonetheless, and Banks, he's been money all day.
So he hits the first one, 27 now for Banks. Now we talk about, Ryan, especially in the NBA, when they foul the 3-point shooter, they've worked a little bit to fix that rule as the second free throw goes down, but in college it's still a little wobbly, so you can really call it either way, and maybe that time just enough for the officials to make a call. The third free throw goes down, so Darrell Banks goes 3 of 3 from the line. 72-63 lead for Fordham, a minute 39 to go. They go into the football formation again, 2 on either side of Rose under center. Quick hitter to Charlton, tries to get across, but he's fouled. And now Charlton will go to the free throw line.
And Fordham in this one, with the way St. Bonaventure has been able to score at ease these last few minutes and gets the free throw line, they really need to answer Banks to the free throw line by hitting theirs.
So Antrell Charlton will go to the charity stripe. Charlton, who's really been struggling shooting the 3 ball as well for Fordham, but again, another guy who can fill up a ton of different areas in the box score. 81% from the free throw line, however. His first free throw is up and bounces off. Nowitzki comes back in. Anquan Hill comes back in for St. Bonaventure.
And you see Nowitzki goes all the way to the other side of the court to provide that interior defense. He's not even attempting to get this offensive rebound.
Charlton at the charity stripe again. Second free throw. This one is up and good, so 1 of 2 goes Charlton. 10-point lead up for the Bonnies. 1:36 to go. Darrell Banks at the top. High screen from Hill. Trying to find space. Double team coming. Pyro Luke now at the top. Pulls up from 3. This one is short. Ball tipped around. Anquan Hill flying for the O board. And a foul against Fordham. This one will go against Nowitzki.
And finally, it looked like if Fordham was able to get that ball back, get the foul to go their way, they'd be in good shape. But again, they keep the door right open for St. Bonaventure.
So Hill goes to the free throw line. 40% free throw shooter on the year. His first free throw was up and good. So now a 9-point lead for Fordham with 1:24 to go. Second free throw up for Hill and good. 8-point lead for Fordham, 73-65. 1:24 to go. Fordham once again goes to the football set. Kyler Rose will inbound again. Finding Darius Quisenberry. Trying to get up the floor. And a late whistle here. Two seconds come off of the clock.
Well, now it's up for Quisenberry to really, he didn't shoot the ball great today, but if he can cash in at the free throw line, just 10 points in this one, 3 for 10, it almost makes it worthwhile. He is your leader. He's the guy you want closing out games, and we'll see if he can do it right here.
So Quisenberry gets set for his next pair of free throws. First one goes up, and it is good. Fordham doing work today from the free throw line. That was their 28th attempt and their 18th hit. So 9-point lead now for the Rams again. Quisenberry gets set for the next free throw. This one's up and good, so Quisenberry now 11 points today. 1:20 to go. Luke walking it across half court. High screen from Anquan Hill. Rolling is Hill. He'll pull a straight on 3. This one goes. Anquan Hill keeping things interesting here. 75-68 lead and a timeout call, a 30-second timeout.
Interesting is one way to put it, because this game has been unbelievable. These final 3 minutes for Fordham have to feel like an eternity of an eternity, because this clock is not ticking fast enough, and St. Bonaventure keeps responding.
So Anquan Hill, as mentioned, why wasn't he playing earlier, but now really making an impact. And meanwhile, total of 25 personal fouls have been committed by Fordham. St. Bonaventure's committed 26. That's just been the game it's been today, Ryan. Extremely physical. Referees are blowing those whistles a lot, but all in all, it's made for what's been a really entertaining basketball game.
Entertaining, long, both, adjectives you can use.
Whatever adjectives you guys want to use.
Because this game, it feels like this last minute and 11 seconds, right? There's so much in store for us, because this game hasn't gone typical, Fordham basketball, right? All the free throws back and forth. The fouls are flying left and right. So we'll see if Fordham can continue. These last 2 possessions did a better job with this football kind of, inbound play, if they can get it up the court and hit their free throws and maybe stop St. Bonaventure.
So holding off a Mark Schmidt team is never easy. If anyone knows how to manage a late game situation, it's him. So 7-point lead for Fordham, 1:11 seconds to go. St. Bonaventure with 1 timeout. Pass underneath the sideline by Fordham. Charlton gets it back in bounds, and a foul and a trip against St. Bonaventure.
And even though Fordham gets the call right there, nothing has been easy. They cannot get the ball up with ease. If that whistle wasn't blown for another second or two, St. Bonaventure would have the ball ready to push it.
So 1 second comes off the clock. Fordham still has 2 timeouts left. Darius Quisenberry goes back to the free throw line. He's got 11 points, or 13 points rather today, 7 of 9 from the line. His first free throw goes up, and this one is good. Make it 14 now for Quisenberry. Offense, defense again for both teams. Hill and Nowitzki come in. It's Quisenberry's second free throw. Gets set for it. It is up, and it is good. 77-68 lead. Minute 8 to go. Luke crosses the timeline, trying to find the open shooter. Farrell, left wing 3 ball, and this one's nothing but air, and rebound by Quisenberry. Trying to get across half court, and he does. 55 seconds to go. Quisenberry dribbling around, doing a Curly Neal impression, but he's fouled. 77-68 is the score. 52.6 to go, and Quisenberry will go to the free throw line.
For Fordham, about matter of time that some possessions went their way during this final stretch, getting the air ball stop, and then Darius Quisenberry taking 5 or so seconds off the clock, getting it up the court easily, and now with 2 more free throws. He's been great at the free throw line today, so you expect him to continue to capitalize.
So the officials are going to go to the replay monitor for this one. I guess they're going to try and determine what type of foul it was. Was it a push or a trip? Yet to be determined here, but nonetheless, it's these final few minutes, Ryan, you said it. It's been long. It's been very long.
I think the first time I said that was just another lifetime ago for me.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I could have gotten some studying done.
But nonetheless, Fordham in this one, you look at the scoreboard, but this foul, it can only help them whatever they end up calling here. And if you make your free throws, we can talk long-term what this win means for them and the A-10 if they can do so. But a long 52 seconds to go until then.
Still looking over the previous play. Meanwhile, I'll give you guys some foul checks as the officials come away from the monitor. Bonaventure has 2 guys with 4 fouls. That's Luke and Farrell, and they had 2 guys foul out, Moses Flowers and Chad Venning. So as it gets set out of the official timeout, they're going to rule this a common foul, so they were looking to see if it was a flagrant, but it does not meet the criteria. 77-68 is still the score, 52.6 to go in the game. And Quisenberry goes back to the free throw line. 15 points for him today. Now make it 16. 10-point lead for Fordham.
And this is what makes Darius Quisenberry such a great player for Fordham, because the shots weren't falling today, right? 0 for 4 from 3, 30% from the field, but he was still able to give you 17 points, great leadership, and clutch free throws down the stretch.
11-point lead now for Fordham, 45 seconds to go. Banks, bounce pass, far side Luke. Kicks it out to Hill at the top of the circle, passed up a layup. Luke trying to get open, and he does. Pulls up a right wing 3 ball off the side of the rim. Kyler Rose with the rebound. Rose nearly runs into Quisenberry. Rose walks this one up across the timeline. 25 seconds to go. 11-point lead for Fordham. They're going to take the shot clock violation, a difference of about 3 seconds between both. Shot clock kicks down to 9. Fordham's going to go 4-3 now in conference. As the Rams take the shot clock violation, a lot of smiles on that Fordham side. 3.3 left, 79 for Fordham, 68 for St. Bonaventure. And for the first time since February 2007, the Rams win 3 in a row on the road and go 4-3 now in the Atlantic 10 with a huge win against St. Bonaventure, 79-68. What a fun basketball game, Ryan.
That game showed me so much about the Fordham Rams, because this was the toughest task of these 3 road games at St. Bonaventure, a team that was undefeated in conference play, 9-1 overall at home. This is a really hard place to play. As we figured out throughout this game, this atmosphere is electric. You give a ton of credit to them, but a great job from Fordham. They weathered every storm. They met every opportunity. They had all the big shots, and a massive road win.
And they got a huge lift from Khalid Moore, Darius Quisenberry with 17, Moore with 19, but Will Richardson continues to impress. 16 points today for the freshman on 6 of 8 shooting. An incredible remark for him today, especially in his young college career.
And he was so impressive in this game and deserves so much praise. But Khalid Moore is the guy that I want to shout out, because Khalid Moore came into this game. He's really picked it up his last 2 in conference, but he was able to respond, attack inside, and put this game away for Fordham.
So we're going to be joined by Fordham associate head coach Trey Woodall momentarily. He's going to give him the headset here as hear his thoughts. All good, Coach?
Got me?
Yep.
Yes,
so,
sir.
Coach, a little homecoming for you, but what were your thoughts today on this game?
I thought our guys did a great job. our principle is to try to play a full 40-minute game. I think our guys did a good job of playing a 32-minute game. But we'll go back to the drawing boards. We'll go back to watch the film and really see how our guys did. But I'm excited for them to get a road win. It's just a gutsy win for our guys.
Now, there's so many storylines we can go into, but Will Richardson lighting it on fire in this game, 4 for 5 from 3, 16 points overall. Your thoughts on his performance tonight?
Yeah, I'm not. Again, I keep telling you guys every time I come on the radio that I'm not surprised. This guy works his tail off. He's extremely confident. He does exactly what our team needs him to do on any given night. He's a freshman. He's still learning. He's still growing, and I think he's going to continue to get better.
Coach, Mark Schmidt, obviously you were with him for a while when St. Bonaventure won the A-10 a couple years ago, and very respected in a ton of coaching circles nationally.
Absolutely.
For you to come back here and face off against one of your former mentors, what does that mean to you, and how much does it mean to be in a game like this against him, knowing what he's going to pull out of his bag of tricks?
I mean, I would love to look back at this and make it about me, but I'm excited. I'm excited for our guys, man. That's a gutsy win on the road. Coach Schmidt is a heck of a coach, man. I tell guys all the time, when I was here, it was like a master's class in basketball. He's one of the greatest coaches in the country, and I had the pleasure of working for him. But I'm excited for our guys that they were able to pull out a win and a gutsy road victory.
Now, big picture, Fordham moves to 4-3 in the A-10, 3 straight road wins, the first time since 2007 that's happened. What can a win like this continue to validate and continue to prove what you're building?
I mean, we talk about this all the time. We just want to be the best team we could be by the end of the year. I think today we took a step forward and improved. So we go back to the drawing boards. We'll try to improve on watching some film and get better from here. But I think we got better, and our goal is still the same, try to be the best team that we could be by the end of the year.
Coach, congratulations on the win. We, as always, thank you for the time.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you so much. That was Fordham Associate Head Coach Trey Woodall coming back to one of the places he stopped as a coach. St. Bonaventure picking up a huge road win for Fordham. And Ryan, I'll get your final thoughts, but really 3-0 on this tiny little road trip here. You go to LaSalle, Duquesne. Now you come to one of the harder environments in the mid-major lore in St. Bonaventure, and not only does Fordham win, but it was one point where they were convincingly dominating the Bonnies.
Yeah, so just to give you my thoughts, I think, that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about coaches talk. I think that's a cliche in sports where coaches will say the same generic things over and over and over. One of the things we heard from this team was we just want to get better every day. You hear every coach talk about that, never, impress. It's always about the next one. This team has proved that's the case because it was easy to sit there getting back to 3-3 after starting 1-3 and be content, but that's not what this team is. On the road, a game you probably weren't supposed to win on paper, and you did just that by double digits with the crowd booing you all night long. This game says so much about this team, this culture, and how together they're playing.
Well, that's just going to about do it from us here at the Reilly Center. For Ryan Gregware, I'm Thomas Aiello. Once again, the final score, Fordham 79, St. Bonaventure 68. We're going to send it back to the Rose Hill Studios with Sam Davis for the one-on-one post-game report.
The one-on-one post-game report.
Welcome into the one-on-one post-game report. A huge victory for the Fordham Rams, 79-68 over St. Bonaventure. They've now won 3 straight games. They've won 3 straight A-10 road games as well. Very impressive stuff from the Rams in this one. It got a little shaky there in the second half, especially late in this one. Fordham grabbed the lead with about 15 minutes left in the game, and they had their largest lead of 17 points with 4 minutes left. St. Bonaventure really worked their way back. They got within 7 points near the end of that game, but Fordham was able to hold them off and prevent any sort of disaster from happening in the late stages of this one. A couple of shaky plays down the stretch, but nevertheless, looking at this game as a whole, Taylor, a huge win for Fordham, especially to go out and get that on the road, and they're just seem to be rolling and moving in a very positive direction right now.
Just another case of roadkill. I think this is going to hype up this Fordham team. Just massive game from everyone. 19 points for Moore. Will Richardson had a day. Made 4 3-pointers, 16 points. I think he has really just electrified this offense. Ever since they added him to that starting lineup, I think he is an integral part of this team. Just once again, just such a huge win. Like you see St. Bonaventure, they are an at-home team. You could hear that crowd was like louder than our announcers. And
right until the last couple of minutes, that crowd was in that game.
Yeah, exactly.
From the opening tip until very close to the end. Yeah,
just so loud, and that can just be like such a distraction. But Fordham just stayed focused. They didn't let it bother them, and you could just hear the crowd go silent when we got that 17-point lead.
Definitely went silent near at the end there. And you mentioned Will Richardson, a huge lift for Fordham that he's been in the last couple of games, 16 points. Khalid Moore has been massive offensively for the Rams as well. He had 19 points in this one. Darius Quisenberry did not play a great game. He was 3 for 10 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3. But he had 13 free throws, hit 11 of them. He's a very talented free throw shooter, and that's something he did in the last game against Duquesne also. A leader for this group. He steps up. He's the guy you want at the free throw line late stages of the game. He hits a couple shots after Fordham missed a couple of free throws there. Not their best shooting night from the charity stripe, but Darius Quisenberry did a nice job really locking things down for the Rams. And we talked about it at halftime, Taylor. Fordham was playing very well defensively, but the offense, shooting just 31% from the field, really needed to make some changes in the second half, and they did. They shot 43% overall in the game, really started to light things up from behind the arc in the second half. That shut down that crowd. That really gave them a lot of momentum to, like we talked about, build that big lead and then able to hold on in the late stages of this one.
No, for sure. And it's nice seeing the Rams just stay up and ahead. So many times we've seen them fall back early in the first half. We saw that against Dayton. They just never were back in it. It was just the Rams and the Bonnies just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
It was a great game. I mean, it's such an entertaining game.
Exactly.
There
was just something new happening every single moment. I heard there was a marriage proposal at one point. It's just crazy, crazy game. I think Fordham just woke up and they decided this is their day. They're going to make sure this offense is up and running, and I think they should be very, very excited for their next matchup.
There was a marriage proposal. There was also there was a little bit of a fight out on the court. So all sorts of different emotions in terms of, and obviously on the court as well with the basketball play. I think right now the enthusiasm, Fordham in the non-conference got off to an unbelievable start. And then you start conference play and you have a couple of really tough games versus Davidson and then later on versus Dayton. You fall to 1-3. Really a turning point in the season, at least at this point. I think you could look back on it was a huge win on the road against LaSalle. That started off this win streak, and then now last time out against Duquesne with a victory, and then here winning this one on the road as well. And things have really flipped quickly from being 1-3 in the conference to now 4-3. You're up, on top of a number of teams. The St. Bonaventure, one of those teams at 4-3. They will fall down in the A10 standings as a whole. And I would say the confidence in this group right now really at an all-time high. You have George Washington coming in on Saturday, which will Fordham returning back to the Rose Hill Gym. That's going to be another good test for the Rams. But GW really struggled against St. Joe's. I'm not sure. Is that score final? Because I'm not sure. They were neck and neck. A lot of teams in the A10 tonight have been neck and neck. URI beat Dayton. It's just the inconsistency in this conference has been crazy. We talked about it at halftime. And that's something that, really gives Fordham fans and really gives this team a lot of optimism, because this conference is all of a sudden, I wouldn't say all of a sudden, I would say actually the whole year it's been pretty wide open. Outside of maybe a team like VCU and St. Louis, it's been pretty wide open as a conference. So if you're Fordham, you really have to like your team's chances going forward in this Atlantic 10 conference, as they're starting to pile up some wins and really move up the standings.
No, for sure. St. Joe's and GW are still going back and forth.
Is it overtime?
They're in overtime,
okay,
and it's going.
So
it's 91-88. St. Joe's on top. GW was leading by a whole bunch of points earlier on. So great rally by St. Joe's, but it just really goes to show how competitive this conference is. You never know what's going to happen next, and I think Fordham. They've won 3 straight, but I think what's more important, they've run 3 straight away games. That is huge. Once they get home with this confidence boost, I am so excited to see what can happen next.
The crowd's going to be rocking at the Rose Hill Gym next time out on Saturday. But that's going to wrap things up here on the game tonight. Our broadcasters from tonight's game were Thomas Aiello and Ryan Gregware here in the studio. Thank you to Mike Calamari, supervising producer, Will Talent, the producer behind the boards, Jack Warner on highlights, Taylor Mascetta on updates, and myself, Sam Davis. The sports director at WFUV is Bobby Chaffardini. Fordham Basketball is a production of WFUV Sports. Have a nice night, everybody.